Hello, and welcome to Great Train Layouts Live. I am your host, Nick Ozrak, and it is wonderful to be with you this evening. We are going to see if my audio is working. We're going to make sure that the picture is good. I'm going to trust you guys to tell me in the comments if there are any particular issues that you notice. But that said, welcome to Great Train Layouts Live, and we have a doozy today. We are building Tehachapi, but Nick, I'm looking at Tehachapi. We'll get into that in a second. But this is Great Train Layouts Live, where we take two-dimensional track plans and we pre-visualize them in the wonderful realm of Trainz with a Z railroad simulator to play test them, to visualize them, and to have some fun. It is so good to be back with you guys, and it has been way too long since we've done a stream. And we'll get into all that. It kind of ties into why I was late today. I appreciate your patience. So, with that said, we are building it with Broadway because we're doing Tehachapi. We're tying that in with their Santa Fe 2900 series steam locomotives, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But we're building Tehachapi. And when I say we're building Tehachapi, there's so many ways one could build Tehachapi. So let's talk about Tehachapi. Well, Tehachapi, if you're completely new, Tehachapi Pass, Southern California railroading landmark, owned by the Southern Pacific, though with the Santa Fe having trackage rights to get over the Tehachapi Mountains, known for the world-famous Tehachapi Loop at Waylon. So many track plans, so many layouts dedicated to this piece of railroad. What we're going to be doing tonight is kind of looking at distilling it down to its core element of the loop. Because a lot of Tehachapi track plans that I see focus on the whole subdivision, the Mojave sub, and they're neat, but I came across this really great plan in Railroads You Can Model by Mike Schafer that really kind of distills it down to the core element of what this is about. So we are going to start by looking at Trainz 12. This is one of the default routes that came with an earlier version of Trainz with a Z. That is the full one-to-one scale of the thing. Because then we can talk about what we're actually including, and then we'll look at the track plan. So what's kind of neat is that if we look at what Waylon is about, like, this is the loop. Like, this is the core that we're going to be modeling right here. And you look at it, and it's like, well, that kind of looks like it's designed for model railroading anyway. And I would say so. It's sort of like back in the 1870s, they said, you know, let's come up with a really nice bit of engineering that also looks really good on people's train layouts. So Waylon is the center of it. You've got the loop, which is also a passing siding. And then we've got Marcel up here and Woodford down there. Those are two adjacent passing sidings. We'll look at that more in the plan. In terms of space, just because we could do this kind of thing, how much real-world space is Tehachapi Loop? Well, it's 1,141 feet in real scale, but if we change the scale of the route... God, it's been forever since I've done this in, oh no, that's going to be route settings, isn't it? Edit route, yeah. So, if we change this to HO scale, just for kicks and giggles, if we wanted to model Tehachapi Loop 1-to-1, how wide would it be? And then we'll look at the actual track plan. So, HO scale, it would be 13 feet wide, which is very large for a lot of our basements and garages, but actually kind of not insane in the grand scheme of it. We're going to be doing smaller, of course. But just to say, it's interesting how compact it is for what it is. So, with that said, let's look at the actual track plan we're going to be working with today. Here in Trainz 19. So, and yeah, I'll just leave that open because we want to go back to it. So, again, Railroads You Can Model, a book from 1975 by Mike Schafer. Highly recommend it if you love model railroad and track plans. There's close to a dozen based on prototypes like the Duluth, Mississauga and Iron Range, the New York, Ontario and Western, there's a GM&O in there, and critically Tehachapi Pass. So what's neat about this as a track plan is we've got Marcel, which is on the cardinal direction south side, but I want to say it's railroad west. The directions are a little confusing, but if we were to look at this kind of cardinal direction wise, it looks something like this. So we've got Marcel, which is uphill. We have Waylon, and then the famous loop, and then we've got this loop going into Woodford. So this is an HO plan in about 15 by 24 feet, and I like it because it's compact. And I think the article that accompanies this really describes it as kind of like a big display case. Like this is not about locals. It's not about doing switching. This is really about doing big mainline trains going uphill and downhill. That's kind of the core of what we've got going on here. So with that said, I'm going to reveal that I maybe cheated a little bit this. Well, I don't think of it as cheating. You might call it cheating. We'll see. What I did is I did get a kind of early start at building this because I wanted to build this all in one night. And one of the things that you guys have said to me as feedback is, Nick, we really like it when you build a layout in a single night as opposed to like a larger layout that's span over multiple streams. So I've taken your feedback into heart, and we're doing this all in one night. But doing it all in one night, it is a big stretch. So you can see that I've kind of done a little bit of preforming of the landscape, but that is not all. If we turn on all the layers, we will see that in fact, I put the fascia up already and some backdrop walls. And if we look behind those backdrop walls, we'll see we've got all the staging in place, because Lord knows I was not going to build this Helix live on stream with you guys. Bounds of reason in terms of what we can do in a single stream. So the plan as designed, if I toggle this back on, is that you have essentially your staging areas on the lower level here. Oh, you probably can't see my cursor, so I should probably turn that on. And make sure that you can see my cursor. Capture cursor. There you go. Now you can see my cursor. Okay, so the staging is underneath on the lower level here at Woodford, and it's basically a gigantic reverse loop with some passing sidings. Then we climb up the grade to the upper end. Now, as planned originally, it's just a double track or triple track reverse loop that then goes back on itself. But I went crazy and said, what if you wanted to be able to just run fleet a bunch of trains in the same direction and not have to worry about meets and stuff? And so we have this big helix here that connects the upper level to the lower level. It's a bit insane, but yay for going big or going home. This is Tehachapi, so we might as well go big, right? So I made sure to just do bits like this off camera. We are still going to build this layout, and we're going to do it tonight. We're going to do it live, because that's what this show is called after all. And we're going to get right to it. So we're going to start first with building our track, which is going to be RTX TSP90. We're going to go with, let's say, a 115-pound jointed rail for the era we're doing. And we're going to apply a grade to it. We're going to apply initially a 2% grade coming out of Woodford here, like so. Then we're going to have it come straight through here, like so. And then it crosses a bridge. And then it's going to go around this hairpin turn. And Tehachapi is a route that I feel like I've never seen it in real life. Maybe you guys have it. If you have, feel free to share your stories in the chat or in the comments. But from a train simulation perspective, we saw it in TS12. And we also saw it in, well, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I've experienced it in the Run 8. I know I need to change the grade profile for that part. Hold on one second, guys. My apologies. We are going to increase the gradient of the track from 2 to 2.5, and that's going to be our grade for the rest of the line. So, Tehachapi was also famously featured in the Run 8 train simulator, of which back in the At the Rail Yard days, I did a review of it. So, there's a lot of memories of sort of a digital Tehachapi Pass, we'll put it that way. And it is a neat piece of railroading from everything I've gathered, everything I've seen of it, especially this era. I mean, it's one of these areas that I think sort of transcends whatever motive power is on it. I think there's some areas that really clearly had a heyday when it was steam or when it was early diesel, or frankly when it existed. Many that don't exist anymore. But Tehachapi is something that even in this modern era of BNSF and precision scheduled railroading and all that kind of stuff, I have to imagine it's still cool. I have to imagine that it still holds up for what it's supposed to be. Yeah, we'll do it like that. So now we get to build the loop. So basically what I'm doing right now, if you're new to Great Train Layouts Live, welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us tonight. This is the connect the dots part of the show. This is where I just trace along the original track plan and I say, okay, we need to make a curve go here, a switch go here, get all that track work out of the way. And so right now I'm just laying in the main line, and then I will go back in and add the sidings. Seeing some good chat, seeing some familiar faces. Matthew Harris, hello Barrett, hello White Star, good to see you guys. It's been way too long. So what happened to me? Let's get into that while I'm laying this track out, because some of you may not care for my personal life, and that is totally okay if you don't. But for those of you who are interested, I had a kid back in April. So I have a very beautiful daughter, and her name is Madeline, and I am really happy to have her in my life. It has obviously been a lot of work. It's been a lot of life adjustment. They don't send these children out with instruction manuals, so there's a lot of learning of what it means to be a dad along the way. But I am really happy to be at this point in my life. And so part of the reason of the delay was because my wife had to run out at the last minute because one of my cats, unfortunately, is not doing very well health-wise. And we wanted to pick up a medication of his before the 4th of July weekend because the vet was going to be closed tomorrow. So she had to run out and go get that. Oh, I need to straighten that one. That's why it's all wonky. So I had to watch the kid, so to speak, right before going on the air. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you, Barrett. Thank you for the congratulations. And that's honestly part of why the streams took a hiatus. It wasn't really my intention, but it also just, with everything going on, we're going to do 2 on that front. With everything going on, I had enough going on that I felt busy enough with what there was. And I try to be very careful with Great Train Layouts Live to keep it as the strictly hobby part of my life. As many of you know, I do film work as my day job, and a lot of it for tourist railroads, museums, freight railroads. It's fun to do, but it does mean that I have to be very careful about separating in my mind what am I doing for fun and what I'm doing for work. So Great Train Layouts Live is something I do for fun, and I enjoy it, but that means doing it when I am in the mood to do it. And I just, with the pregnancy, wasn't as much in the mood. It was nothing you guys said. It was nothing you guys did. Just I enjoyed a nice break from it, but I've been chomping at the bit to come back. We'll do it without a grade. Been chomping at the bit to come back. This felt like a good stream to return on. This felt like a good opportunity to be like, hey, how is life out there in internet land? So hopefully you enjoy this build, because I've been excited for this one. I mean, I started work on I mean, you could kind of tell I went a little bit crazy with it. Escher 23. Lifeguarding the heat today was miserable. Yeah. Oof. And I just read an article about a bunch of people, like 35 people who were rail fanning the big boy at Reading and Northern got the heat exhaustion. I mean, that's kind of bonkers. Not entirely surprising, but just the sheer number of people, that is kind of something else. So yeah, you don't want to mess around with this heat that we've been having. I'm sure it's hot in Tehachapi. I'm sure it's hot in Northern California, or Southern California right now. So yes, it's, so thanks for I want to thank those of you guys who, you were really patient for me coming back to this, and thanks for that. It's nice to have the support, and it's nice to feel like this is something where it doesn't have to be an obligation. It could just be something that we do for fun. We're here to have a good time. And this is a good route to have a good time with. This is a good one to come back to. This is something different for us, because a lot of the times I feel like we tend to look at switching heavy routes. It's the Pacific Productions. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, there's so much I could say about fatherhood. If you want to hear me say it, I'll say it. I'll probably say it anyway at some point. So much I've learned in just the past few months. That has been... I can't even... I think about it, it's like I don't even know where to begin. It's... Those of you who are parents know, and those of you who may be parents someday will find out. But it's definitely... yeah, life-changing is kind of an understatement when it comes to thinking about this type of thing. It's really special. And I've been fortunate, I've been on something resembling a paternity leave, and that's been a real blessing too, because then I can really focus this time on getting to know her and building a relationship with her that feels meaningful and laying the foundation. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of changing diapers, a lot of hearing a cry and going, okay, what does that cry mean? Okay, now that I know what that cry means, am I equipped to do something about that cry or not? Maybe I am, maybe I am not. There are certain things that Daddy can do, and there are certain things that he cannot. And that's very much the learning through doing. But what guys? So now that we're getting into summer, what are the adventures that you guys have been up to? Surely somebody has seen the big boy, to address the big elephant in the room. Yeah, somebody here has got to have seen it. Have I seen it? No. Will I see it? No. And am I having... Oh, hi, Tucker. Cat cameo. Am I having... Oh, yes, Cardinal Ball 1978. Yeah, local EMS declared a mass casualty incident with all the people looking at the big boy today. Oof, lordy. Oh, hi, Sam's Trainz. Um, yeah, so thing with Big Boy, speaking of famous passes, I got to see it on Donner Pass a couple of, 2 years ago. There's actually video of it on the channel. I did some drone videography of it. It is a neat machine. Am I having some degree of FOMO? Maybe, but I will say that everything I've seen is really, really chaotic. And I love a good bit of chaos as much as the next guy, but I mean, obviously also daughter. But even if it weren't for her, would I be seeing? One of the things that I've learned about myself through railfan is that I gravitate towards experiences of solitude. I gravitate towards experiences where I'm with less people. Not always the case. Plenty of times I'm railfanning with friends, or I'm out on a big chase, like I helped Heis film his 2102 video last fall. But I like when it's just me in the train, or me in the train, a few people. Let's make that bigger, 2.5. And because it's the same thing with 611 here in Virginia. It is a neat machine, but when it's so crowded, you have so many people around it, it's sort of hard to appreciate it for what it is, because you're just trying to see the darn thing. It definitely, it changes the experience. It can still be good, but it changes it. And the thing with Big Boy is that it is a neat locomotive. Do I think it's also a little bit overrated? Yeah. It is still a neat locomotive, but I also feel like I don't need to be amidst all that excitement. That is not something that I feel. The Donner was kind of peak as well. That's the other thing I should say in this. Like, if I'd never seen Big Boy before, I would maybe feel more of a sense of missing out. But getting to see Donner, well, come back to that. Getting to see Big Boy on Donner was special, not just because it was Big Boy, but because it was Donner. Like, I never could have imagined. When I made those At the Rail Yard reviews of Donner Pass, I could have never imagined that I would be lucky enough one day to actually get to see the locomotive on the Donner Pass. Never thought it happened. Well, step back. I didn't know if I'd see Donner. I certainly never thought I'd see a steam locomotive on Donner, let alone a large steam locomotive, let alone Big Boy, let alone getting to film it with a drone. Like, that kind of combination of factors was really unbelievable. And though I'm sure it would be cool seeing it on the Reading Northern, I also feel like Donner Pass is Donner Pass. Like, Donner Pass is the kind of thing Big Boy was built for. Honestly, he's kind of built for, a place like Tehachapi. We might sneak a run of Big Boy on Tehachapi too. I have to remember if I've actually downloaded one. I'm not sure if I have it installed or not. You got to see Escher 23. You got to see Big Boy go through Iowa. Yeah. Getting to see it go along a flat plains area is, like, at high speed would be neat. But yeah, doing it through Pennsylvania. If I still lived in Pennsylvania, there's a good chance I would have gone out. I think 99% chance I would have gone out to see it. But driving up from Virginia, again, even outside of my recent life changes, probably not. There's only so much one can do in life, and one makes choices, and I'm okay with that. There will be other chances to see it, in one form or another. But yeah, thoughts on a large lad, as some of the hip kids like to say. Okay, we have our track in place. We've connected it to our staging track, which means I want to switch that for the ballasted track, just for the visible portion. So I'm going to use my bulk replace tool. And then in this selected area here, we are going to replace the, I should hide my base map. With hold on 1 second. All right, so we're replacing all of the ballastless track with the ballasted track, like so. In the selected area of here, like that. And then we're going to link these two pieces up, and we'll probably finesse it in a... Oh, did I hide a layer or something with the track on it? Yes, I did. Okay. Let's fix that while I'm thinking of it. And we'll put it on the root layer. So there we have it. If we bring our terrain back into view, we can see we have track. We have some extra switch stands too. So we've got Woodford down here. It's going to cross two bridges. Tehachapi Creek, although honestly, when you look at it, it's a pretty dry creek. Climbing up around this ridge, we're going to have it kind of go into a bit of an embankment. We're going to go back to TS12 for a moment so we can kind of see how we're forming the land. Then we're going to go into... I'm going to need to extend that, aren't I? Yeah, we'll worry about that later. We've got the loop to form, and we've got a second loop here. We're going to have some tunnels as part of that as well. Actually, I think I'm going to probably sneak that closer to get that look a little smoother. And we'll do a test run. I think once I've got the terrain in place, we might do a test run with 2900, just to see how we like it before we go super crazy on the details. Broadway Limited Train says looks great so far. Thank you, Curtis. Yeah, I'm... this is... the crazy thing about this layout. Let's talk about this grade, too. So, from staging under here, we're climbing 2% through Woodford, and then it's a solid 2.5% grade through this entire thing. The result being that we climb literally 2 real feet from this point. Now, the real Tehachapi is more like 1.3% with bits of 2.1. So this is definitely a heavier grade, but we need that, especially when we're looking at the loop, because you figure that the smaller you make a loop, the steeper you have to make the incline to get it to clear. And obviously, part of the goal here is not just to get it to clear, but because if you look at, well, let's look at Tehachapi. Let's talk about the landscape element of it. So if we go back to TS12, the thing that we will see here is that it's not just that it clears it, but it clears it by a margin. Now, if you don't want your grades to be as severe, I mean, for one thing, there's a couple things with the grades here. Number one, you really don't need the grades at all except for the loop. You could get away with having everything flat except the loop. You also could just make it so that the track barely clears as opposed to having the larger gap that you see here, but the goal is trying to get it to look like the real thing. So in terms of the terrain forming we're going to be doing, from Woodford down here. So we've got Woodford. We've got our first girder bridge. We've got Tehachapi Creek. Go around the loop. We've got a hill in the center here. We're kind of going through a cut over here, second bridge, a lot of cut, and then a little bit of embankment, so we'll try to get the feel of that. Then the loop itself, basically the hill in the center, some of it's a bit more flat, and then it sort of slopes down from that. Crosses over, and then basically we're on the edge. And then we've got the one tunnel here. Then we're going to add, and then it goes into Marcel. In real life, Marcel is all the way up here, but that's selective compression for you. And then we'll add some little details. So part of why I figured we could do such a big layout in such a small time is because we don't have a lot of buildings. This farm scene is the one thing that I'm inclined to add as far as buildings are concerned, and that's basically it. So let's get back to it. We've got some terrain forming to do, both in terms of getting the track to look less wonky, and also to... Now this one I cheated again, yeah, it's kind of pretty much done, but I wanted to play it safe. My first stream back, I didn't want to let you guys down. Like, my goal is that within an hour and 45 minutes, we will have this sucker complete. And by complete, I mean it looks pretty, and we can run some chooches, and they look nice. That is what we are going for. So I'm going to use this tool to get our track level with our terrain. And tell me what you think of this approach. Like, if you guys are like, no, Nick, you're cheating, and I want to see you actually, spend more time on the... I want to see more of the process of this kind of thing unfold, then let me know. I mean, I am very much here to entertain and educate and give perspective where you feel it's helpful. So if this kind of thing, if this kind of stream isn't your thing, then I am all here for your feedback. But this felt like a nice one to come back to. Just something about Tehachapi. It's I think it's one of those things where it's just, there's certain, when I reflect on the days of At the Rail Yard and the reviews that I made, there's certain reviews that stand out for a variety of reasons, either because the product was just so amazing, but often because I was really happy with something I did creatively in the review. And the Run 8 review, I love how that came out. That episode, it feels epic. It makes the route feel epic. It makes the simulator itself feel epic, which I really, man, I loved playing Run 8 back in the day. It's less my thing now, especially where nowadays my relationship to train simulation is more about building stuff than running trains. But if you like running trains and you want your physics to feel realistic, boy, Run 8 is still up there in that regard. I'm gonna make this a little bit lower so that we have that sense of looking up at the tracks. Very much rolling hills. High desert is such an interesting landscape to model, because when you think of desert, we tend to think of, flat, hot, but high desert is its own kind of interesting thing. We're gonna add the sense of distant mountains here. I tried looking for a backdrop that would kind of convey the Tehachapi Mountains. Couldn't really find one I liked, so we're kind of more evoking hills and mountains with how we do the backdrop, like so. Just a sense of, oh, there's hills and such back here. Yeah, Tehachapi, even though, again, I feel like I should have this real-world connection to it, and I don't, but in some ways that speaks to the power of these train simulators, that it's something like, oh yeah, I mean, man, I ran Run 8 a lot, so I felt like I memorized that route. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Pacific Production. Speaking of Trainz 12, along with Trainz: A New Era, were delisted from Steam. I only just found it a week or so ago. Kind of sad. Yeah, I mean, I don't keep up on that kind of stuff. My copy of Trainz 12 is from an actual physical CD that I had way back in the day. It goes back that far. I want to lock that in before I make mistakes with that, but I will need to unlock the fascia. Yeah, the Trainz 12 was I think that was actually a birthday gift too, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Oh, that's right. So yeah. Good sim from its time. It had some unfortunate issues, especially with distant scenery and the like. It still can run really wonky, even on a high-end machine like what I'm running here. Broadway limited Trainz. Between running an MSTS Tehachapi from 3D Train stuff, I feel like I know it so well. Yeah, so I never had the MSTS version of it. Just never picked that up. At this point, I was on the fence about picking it up just because I've had Tehachapi on my mind so much lately. I decided against it just because it's 3D Train stuff is selling it for about $32, which is honestly it's a little bit high for an MSTS route. Is it good? Yeah, but here's the thing. The original Tehachapi is set in the I want to say it's modern era. So and the modern era stock that comes with it is so outdated. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It is really outdated. So you're paid $32 for just the route, and then the add-on pack that gives you the cab forward and some Southern Pacific F units is another $32. It's like, am I going to pay $64 for something that feels like a whim? Or am I going to save that money so that at some point I buy 007 First Light on Steam? I know what the answer to that question is. So that's ultimately the way I'm going on that particular front. So yeah, simply to say, I never had it in MSTS. I'm sure it was good for its time, and part of it too is also I don't have MSTS installed anymore. I have Open Rails, but not everything works equally well in Open Rails as it does for. Some things work better than others. As the main challenge is activities. Like I'm sure the route itself would work fine, but the activities could vary. I mean, the real shame of it is I think about one of my favorite add-ons ever, and that's Donner Pass Storm of 52. Wonderful add-on. Amazing. Can't rave about how much I love Donner Pass and Storm of 52 enough. Donner Pass, the original, I've played with it a bit in Open Rails. It largely still works as intended. Storm of 52 does not work. The activities just because they relied on scripted elements that were specific to how MSTS interpreted activities, and I tried it a couple years ago and it did not work. So, and it's not, from what I've seen, 3D Train stuff is really very much in the we're doing run 8 camp, which I could understand. But I sort of wish they would go back and update those add-ons for Open Rails, because I'm sure there's a way to make them work. Honestly, the advantage with Open Rails is that if they needed to do a scripting thing that the sim going to do, they could probably go to the developers and be like, hey, can you make this work in this kind of way? So it's a shame, because I leave the review up because the review itself, I mean, if you could still get MSTS to work, then the review is still a fair assessment of it. And I think some people have succeeded in getting getting MSTS to work on Windows 11. So, not an impossibility. It's just something I haven't put a lot of time and effort into, just because there's moments when I want to go back to MSTS, but they're not sustained enough for me to go through the challenge of trying to make sure, like, I don't even remember why it's complicated. I just don't remember that it is. That it doesn't just kind of work as it should. I think it had to do with registry keys or something like that. Simply to say that it's the kind of thing where... Actually, that's how I should do that, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. Yeah. Because another one that I'd really love to replay a lot, and I miss, is the London and Port Stanley. And the thing with that is that it technically works in open rails, but there's an issue with the physics with the rolling stock where the brakes basically just don't work at all. So, yeah, it needs a fix. And yes, I know I was involved with revamping it back in 2010, but Lord knows I don't need more projects. So it's the kind of thing where I kind of hope that somebody who's really into open rails would go back into it. Oh, hi, King Primal 58. I seen you thing on Instagram. Well, I'm glad you saw my thing on Instagram, and I'm glad that you're joining us here. But yeah, it's London Port Stanley. I'd love to see somebody revisit it. I've honestly toyed with the idea of building it in Trainz as a one-for-one thing, but to me, there's no point in my building it unless somebody's going to make or port over the MSTS stock, because the rolling stock makes that route. You're not making the London Port Stanley unless you're running interurbans on it. And again, don't know if or when I would... I do not need more projects. I've dabbled in MSTS conversions to Trainz conversions. Especially, I've done a little bit of rolling stock. Okay, completely unrelated to this, but related to the topic of conversation. Many of you guys know I am a big fan of the Fonda, Johnstown, and Gloversville. And so at one point I was working on this baby right here. This is a Brill Model 3. I think it's a Model 340. It's been a while since I've looked at the technicals. It's a Brill rail car that was built for another railroad that the FJ&G bought. This is based on... So Paul Charland built this model for Microsoft Train Simulator. He gave me permission to convert it for Trainz, and I went to town on it. There were some dimensions that were off, so I fixed the dimensions. I gave it PBR textures. It has sounds from an actual Brill. It doesn't have a 3D cap, but it does have actual sounds. Fun model. Hopefully I'll get around to releasing it someday. But that took a lot of work, and I've never really considered myself a 3D modeler. At least not in the sense of like doing stuff in Blender. I do stuff in Blender. Like, I have basic skills, so I can do like this fascia is a model. Is this fascia a model I made? I think it might be. There's one similar to it, and I sometimes use them interchangeably. I need to straighten that out. That looks right. That does not look right. We're gonna fix that. Excuse me. Point is, I don't need more projects. There's ways in which I miss some of that MSTS stuff, and I hope that somebody would eventually consider revisiting it for the sake of, yeah, that's what I want to do. Because I do think that there's value. I mean, the London Port Stanley, one of the best train simulator routes of any sim ever made, period. It was so ahead of its time. It pushed MSTS to do things that people hadn't done before with the platform. It still holds its own. I think you can still play it and run it as is. I mean, even in MSTS. So maybe someday somebody will revisit that. If somebody came to me and said, Nick, I am here to tell you that I want to revamp London Port Stanley. and I would do rolling stock if you did the route. I would be tempted. I would be tempted. Because I'm not... So a lot of my train simming these days is layouts like this. I like small, bite-sized projects that I can do, you know, within a couple of months. I did the Whiz Beach and Upwell tramway. That was a couple of years project. I would consider doing something like that again, but it'd really have to be the right thing. I am actually, I should say, I am working on a real world route, on and off. I haven't been working on it a lot lately, called the Huntsville and Lake of Bays Railway for Trainz. The thing with that is that it's a narrow gauge line in Canada that is literally only 1.5 miles long. If you turn that into HO scale, it's literally 60 feet long. So even though it's a real world route, it's in a very heavily wooded area, so it's not complicated to build. It's got only a couple of really detail heavy scenery specific scenes about it. So it's the kind of thing that once I'm in the mood to work on it again, it'll take me all of maybe a couple of months to finish at most. It's not a hard build for me. But that's why I took it on. It's like, it's a bite-sized project. I can kind of work on it as the spirit moves me. And the interest will sustain me. But I would very much need the right kind of project to get, like, to say I was going to do anything longer than 2 miles. If I was going to do another Whiz Beach and Upwell, I definitely, the motivation there would be a sense of doing it with other people who are like a collaborative thing where they're doing the models and I'm doing the road kind of deal. Oh, Ashton Gasper, welcome to the stream. All this talk of MSTS gives me flashbacks to 2016, 2018, good times back then. Yeah, I mean, good times now. The things we're able to do with Sims and the amount of Sims on the market is really neat in its own right. Like, I'm always cautious about being like, oh, those were the days. Like, I have a nostalgia for the Sims that where was I going with that thought? I have a nostalgia for the simulators to where, like, there's ways in which I definitely are like, oh yeah, those are the good old days, but some of it is just, you know, it's nostalgia for a way of life before jobs and before the complications of life. There's sort of a nostalgia just for the simplicity of that era. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm not going to be able to do mountains here because we're so close to the edge. I could try, but it's going to be hard to do it without. We'll try a thing. We'll see how successful I am in trying the thing. Just to have some degree of mountains, or allude to them, since we don't have an actual backdrop for this one. Ashton Gaspar 5041. Have you tried rolling line? So, no, I haven't. And the thing about rolling line, if I was in my teens, there is no doubt I would have rolling line. I'd be playing with it. And honestly, it does kind of fit my interests because a lot of it I know is based around model railroads. It just hasn't grabbed me enough. And that's not a knock against what it is. It's more I just haven't yet encountered the thing to make me go, okay, I'm gonna buy that and play it and so forth. Maybe at some point I'll feel differently. Actually, I will confess, the simulator that I've played most recently, that's just playing, not with building anything in it, is there's a new simulator that's come out called Running Train. Yes, it's a bit of an odd name, I'll give you that, but I have really liked that so far. Running Train is it's developed by an Indonesian developer, as I understand it, and oh, I gotta think about where I'm gonna place that tunnel. Where am I gonna place that tunnel? That tunnel is pretty much at the apex of the curve. So we're going to place it here partially because then the terrain will be more forgiving, which means I'm going to need to get my tunnel in place. Hold the thought on running train. We're going to get the tunnel. And I actually have Tehachapi appropriate portals for this, crazily enough. Which means I don't need to worry about placing, well, I could place tunnel track, but I'm not going to. We're going to place the portals after the fact. Hang with me. So... Running Train is a Indonesian developer, but is set in Japan. Fictional lines based on real lines, real rolling stock. I think so far it's like 40 kilometers or something like that in total. It is fun. I like it a lot. It is really graphically, it's beautiful. It has a nice range of cameras that you can switch between as a player, which I really appreciate because I think that's something that's getting lost sometimes with some of the newer sims. Even some of the sims I like is a lack of camera views. So a lot of different camera angles. The physics feel right. I've had a lot of fun playing that one. It's in early access. You can get it on Steam. Do I think it's worth buying now? Yeah, if you accept that it has some quirks. Bit of a steep learning curve because there's not the tutorials in there yet, but I found that one fun. And I like it in part because Japan has been so under represented in train sims, which is ironic when you consider that two of the first MSTS routes, literally the two of the 6 default routes were Japanese, but yet I've never seen a Shinkansen in any of the sims. Yes, I'm aware of Densha to Go, and there's probably some sims that I don't know about that are in Japanese, but I'm just talking about what I've experienced as a Westerner. So simply to say that I like Running Train. Rolling line, Running Train. I like Running Train. I think it shows promise. Definitely keep your eye on it kind of a game, even if you don't want to get it now. Okay, now this hill. What are we doing for this hill? Well, if we go back to TS12, we could see that it's basically a cut and then just all hill with a highway in the background. Now, I think the track plan has us placing some buildings, and we've got a highway overpass, which is how we're going to hide going back into staging. Let's see what the track plan has us doing. I don't think I'm going to do what the track plan has us doing, but let's look anyway. Track plan has us, yeah, basically big hill and then some buildings and stuff, but this isn't really there. We'll do the highway bridge and then kind of just have it disappear, I think, and hide where it disappears behind a hill. The Broadway limited trains. Running Train looks amazing. It does. Like, it looks gorgeous. I will say it might be the best looking sim out there right now. Yes, including Train Sim World. Yes, including Railroads Online. Yeah, I think Running Train is probably the prettiest in my ever so humble opinion. What? Me have an opinion on train simulators? No, say it ain't so. There's no way. Like, me have strong thoughts and feelings on a train simulator. Does that sound like me, guys? Does that? Yeah, I know it totally is me. I'm aware. I'm aware. But I hope that my opinions are useful as far as, or at the very least entertaining. Hope you get something out of them. Whether it be with train sims in general or what we're doing here with Tehachapi. So you can see why I wanted to kind of cheat and do some of the pre-landscaping, because mountains, it's going to be kind of tricky. especially if where we're holding ourselves to a standard of like, hey, this is a real location. We really want it to look and feel like the real location. Like this is what I'm going to call a vibey layout. And Nick, aren't all train layouts supposed to kind of be a vibe of a sort? Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But this is really about the vibes. I mean, this is both in terms of if you built it in real life as well as played it here in the sim. You're not switching cars. You're having train meets, but let's face it, that the trains are meeting at one of 3 places, and the exciting places in the middle. Like, this is not a complicated railroad to run. This is really about, I've got big chooches, and I want to enjoy my big chooches. In fact, we're going to play with one of the big chooches in a moment. We're going to do kind of an inspection run once we've got the terrain formed, because we're mostly to that point. So we're going to make sure track works good, and that'll be a perfect opportunity to talk about the ATSF 2900 class. So, yes, vibes, vibe layout. Yeah, this is really about, we want it to feel right. We want this to be something, this is for somebody that, you know, as a layout to build, you're building this because you love SP and SF. You love your Southern Pacific, you love your Santa Fe, you want your cab forwards, and you want your 2900 class, your 3751. You want all of it. Maybe you even want to be era bending. One of the advantages of Tehachapi is that it has changed not substantially between, say, the 30s and now. Nick, they've realigned track, they've done that. I know. Bear with me. I'm an East Coast guy. I'm talking about the vibes. I'm not talking about the specific details. From a vibe standpoint, if you go to Tehachapi today, it's going to look remarkably similar. So yes, if you set it in the CTC era, it's going to be a specific era, to be sure. But at the end of the day, the scenery is still the scenery. It's still largely undeveloped rural areas. So it's the kind of thing where if you want to wake up one morning and be like, I want to run gray and red SP. You can do that, and it's not going to look out of place. In fact, we might do a little bit of that later. We'll see. Hi, Jimmy. Glad you could join us. You got back from a large distraction. We were talking about the large distraction. You missed that. We were talking about that earlier in the stream. And I even said, I bet somebody is going to have a story in conjunction with that. And sure enough, you are here to prove that point. Christopher Alves says, I've made so many layouts using the Bachmann HO scale tracks that I have a playlist of my own layouts on the channel. Excellent. Bachmann's got, I mean, their easy track is solid. I don't tend to build an easy track, but if that's your thing, yeah, a good system of things. How am I feeling about this? How is this looking? I'm going to do a little bit of comparison. Actually, you know what I should really do? Rather than having, I'm going to throw up the 12 on here. I'm going to make it kind of partial scale so we can do side-by-side comparisons, because that's going to help me as well as helping you. So let's get that same angle. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this one specifically too, is this idea of like, hey, we could do literal side-by-side comparisons and be like, what do we think? And as I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, I think we're getting the general. I tried to right-click on the wrong thing. I'm going to move my screen over for just a moment so I can do the side-by-side thing. Yeah, that's pretty much as it should be. I'm going to say that's good for now. So we'll just unbury the track, and then we'll do some running just to make sure the track work is smooth and stuff. And of course, we're going to bury that track deliberately because it goes into a tunnel kind of sort of thing. But yeah, that's a Tehachapi of a sort, I would say. I'm going to shrink that a bit so I can see your chats. Brendan Granger, thanks for joining us. Looking good thus far, especially the terrain sculpting. Thank you. That's why, so this was the thing that I knew would be the challenge, and why I did all the behind the scenes stuff, because I knew that the terrain sculpting was going to be a thing. So many of my layouts are like, oh, it's flat. Here's the track. Great, we get to place buildings. And this one's like a lot of terrain sculpting. So I hope that terrain sculpting is your thing. But we're pretty much done. We'll do some finessing here in a bit, to be sure. But with that said, I think it is time for the commercial break. It's time for another kind of break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with, just for a few minutes, I'll be back, don't go anywhere. I'm going to leave you with some photos of the 2900s. And then when we come back, we're going to play with one in the sim. We'll talk about it a little bit. And we'll run our track. We'll have some fun. Don't go anywhere here on Great Train Layouts Live. And we're back here on Great Train Layouts Live. And we're going to talk about these beauties that you're seeing playing across the screen right now. These are renders of Broadway Limited Imports, a brand new Santa Fe 2900 class 484 Northern steam locomotives. If you've heard of the 484 Northerns and you're not a Santa Fe fan, you probably heard of them because of 3751, which is, of course, a different class. But these, the 2900s, which you would have heard of because of the group in New Mexico Heritage Rail specifically, that is restoring 2926, well, has restored and is working to continue to build capacity in terms of operations. Amazing pieces of machinery. So we've got these Broadway Limited models that are coming out soon. Some of the features, they've been made from actual blueprints provided by the Santa Fe Railroad Historical Society New Mexico Heritage Rail. Handcrafted brass boiler and tender shell. Road-specific details for different eras, as built. Post-1947, where they have Timken roller-bearing side rods. And then, of course, modern-day 2926. What you can see through these images that are playing right now is that there's different smokestack variants as well. Sounds that are recorded directly off of the operable 2926. You could get them silent. You could get them with VCC. The order deadline is September 17th of 2026. Expected to be arriving next summer of 27. So if you like big choo-choos, if you like big Santa Fe power, this is the kind of power for you. And let's see what that would look like going over to Tehachapi. We'll go back to our scene here. We're going to hide the base map. We're going to go to the root layer. And we are going to get ourselves, I think I put it on ATSF. Oh, I want to save that. So, just to give you a tease of what's to come, we've got a nice big train of 2 of these guys leading 40 boxcars. But we're gonna save that for a little bit later. We're just gonna enjoy the steam locomotive because we don't want to get distracted by, oh, look at how cool this giant big train is. We're gonna keep ourselves focused. Really just try to test out the track work and look at how it sort of fits the landscape as we go. So, we'll get this guy out of the way. So, yes, you too can own an HO scale version of this. And I should probably turn the volume down because I have a feeling otherwise it's going to drown me out. Do tell me if you are having difficulty hearing me. So far I haven't left myself muted, which is a good thing. So here we are coming out of Woodford. We'll hide our switch points for now. Some of the things that are going to be coming up, we're going to have steel girder coming over here. Oh, so Curtis is clarifying for me with regards to the smokestacks. They include all of the different smokestacks with each of the models. So whether you like short, less short, or really less short, aka the tall smokestacks, you get them in the box and you can interchange them, which is really cool that you have that ability. Because that, honestly, sometimes I find that with certain models that are out there, is that I've stuck with like, oh, I like this I like this version. Did I do something I shouldn't have? Nope, I didn't. Anyway, so it is like, do I get the version with this headlight or this headlight? Do I get the version with this feature or this visual feature? And the thing about it is that it's kind of nice to be able to get to pick and choose with just one model, as opposed to, okay, I need to get 2 steam locomotives because I want this variant and this variant. Although, hey, maybe you just want a fleet of these things, and who am I to get in your way if you want a fleet of these things, especially if you're building Tehachapi. These were mainstays on this route. So if you were going to have this layout, I mean, let's face it, you probably would want at least 3 or 4. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. Oh, did I leave? Yeah. We'll close TS12 for now, just so it's not, since we're not using that right now. So here we are about to go through the loop, as it were, and the thing that I'm realizing is I'd love to do it with dig holes, but that feels way too complicated. So we're just going to have to cheat and do closed portals. But you'll still get the vibe. You won't be able to look through the portal, but that feels like more complication than I can address for this stream. Here we are coming into Waylon. And I'm not noticing any ridiculously sharp curves. I think I got that to my liking. I'm pretty happy with how that's looking so far. And then if we want the cab version, I mean, this model doesn't have a full 3D cab. Yeah, I guess it doesn't have a nice cab. Oh well. Don't worry, your Broadway Limited Imports model will have a detailed cab. Unlike the Trainz version. Now, will you be able to shrink yourself small enough to fit inside it? I'm not here to say on that front. William Babcock 248 says, can't wait for these and the ATSF Hudsons. Hopefully the 21010-2 is also still in the works, which Curtis is confirming it is. So yes, good time to be a Santa Fe fan if you model HO scale. Good time to build a layout like this. Man, this has to be excited. Once we get the terrain and the shrubs in here, oh, this is going to look so nice. I am really excited about, I'm excited about this one. Because it's nice to do mainline modeling. And we'll talk more about the operations once we actually fill the staging with some trains and we run them over the pass. We'll talk more about operations then. But even with a main line like this, just because it doesn't have switching or local service, doesn't mean that you can't get operations out of it. It just changes the nature of your relationship to it. And then we go into tunnel. God, what tunnel is that? Now I'm really glad I have the other one. This is tunnel number 10. Yeah, so it's going into tunnel 10, and then it'll go up to staging, where we could either, again, loop it around and send it back as an eastbound, or send it all the way down and make it a westbound again. If I wasn't so crazy, I probably would have omitted the helix, but let's face it, everybody needs to be crazy once in a while. Some of us just need to do it more often than others. Okay, so our terrain forming is largely done. I just need to quickly get those scooted up. And a big thanks as well to Broadway Limited Imports for sponsoring this stream. I love doing these streams that where I mean, I love doing all the streams, but I like where I'm able to like explore a topic and then point you in the direction of here's how you'd actually do something with it. To me, there's just I like things that fit. You know. I'm not gonna have you come on the stream and then be like, this is sponsored by Norfolk Southern 80s GP40s. Like, we're gonna keep it in the theming. Okay, a little bit of sculpting to do our river here, Tehachapi Creek, like so, and then. I'll hold that down. Let's do our infrastructure, which is basically just that bridge, that tunnel, and that tunnel. There's not a lot that we are doing here, which is part of why I chose. I spoke too soon. We're gonna do, but we'll get to that later. That's a time contingent thing. Woodford does actually have some degree of buildings, and we're gonna try to put some of them in here. The challenge is mainly based on what I think we could do as far as how the terrain's set up. That's the challenge with Trainz, and it's limited a bit. Oh, I know how I could do this. It's a little bit faster. We're gonna do 2, and I'm gonna build a piece of track that goes here to here, and then I can. There we go. That gets us our. But that's later. Bridge time. We've got 2 of them that we're going to build. They're girders. They're both pretty straightforward. And, oh no, I'm revealing a secret project in my pick list for those of you who are interested in what I'm working on when I'm not working on this. Tehachapi. Okay. Yes. So I went into the Trainz 12 route and pilfered a bunch of assets from a standpoint of like, okay, what do you want me to rail use to build theirs? Ergo, what do I need to build mine? So we need the actual girder, which we have here. And we'll need some bridge abutments, which look like that are going to go here and here. Is this bridge entirely accurate for this era? I must confess I do not know, but it will look cool, and that is what we are going for. But again, the whole, like, you know, the bridges are one of those things where, to me, if it all depends on your relationship to the modeling. I like a good bridge, but I'm not. If this was a truss in real life, and I made it a girder, or vice versa, I'm still happy. Like, if it's a bridge I like, it's a bridge I like. I'm not gonna say I would never beat myself up trying to model the right bridge. But really depends on the nature of the project. And we've got the abutments on either end, like so and so. And then we should be able to do this girder in 2 parts despite the curve. Hello, Space Ginger. Nick, that is a creek for the West Coast. So does it actually have running water? Because I sort of got the impression that it was dried up. Or is it like dry for some of the seasons? if it is actually, if it does actually have running water, then my apologies for insulting people on the West Coast. If it was taken in an insulting manner, which it was not intended to be. So we've got our girder here. We need a support for that, don't we? I think the one in this, I think there is a support for that. But maybe there isn't. Maybe that's short enough that it's... Oh yeah, I do need a support for that. I'm pretty sure I did pick out a support. Yes, here we go. This actually technically has 3 supports. Why am I not seeing the supports? Bridge. That was the... Why am I not seeing these bridge supports when I should be? They were working for me when I last... Oh, because they're track pieces, aren't they? Yeah. That's why. They are... So I have to click... There we go. There we go. They're track pieces. And so we'll put them like so. I recognize they cut into the girders a bit, but in the spirit of which, how did they avoid that? Or did they not avoid that? Oh, because it's a different type of bridge girder for that one. That one's an above bird. Oh, okay, I see. The other one, I'm surprised I didn't pick that up. So I need a different type of girder than the one that I have here. It should actually be something more akin to bridge C, bridge deck 1? What kind of... is Nick going to have to go shopping to get the right bridge? Because this girder is above ground, and I'm surprised I didn't pick that up when I was preparing for the stream, but... this is life. Sometimes you notice these things, sometimes you do not. But, just wanted to do my best for you guys. Want to give you something that you look at and go, yeah, that feels like the thing it should be. Oh, Bridge B Track Flexi, okay. Let's look that up and install that. Bridge B Flexi. Sorry guys, this is stuff taking place in another window. It will only be a minute. There we go. And then you'll see what I've been rambling to myself about. Jimmy Lambert, terraforming with track. I called that stitching personally. Yep, stitching makes sense of a term. Here's the bridge I needed. Looks more like this. Now, yep, that's more what I'm talking about. There we go. And then Space Ginger. If it rains in the hills, then it runs off down the creek, and I've always been a fan of it. You get the feel. The details don't matter. Yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. I mean, I wanted to have enough of the look. Especially since now I know I'm being watched by somebody who knows what they're talking about. Pressure's on. Gotta do this right. Gotta do this right. No, that's... I mean, honestly, that's one of the reasons why I like train simming. And even as much... I've been on a very serious modeling kick lately, which I can talk about in a minute, but there's times when I just need the existence of an undo button. And when I need an undo button... This is where I come. The sort of sense of like, okay, I just need to know that I can make it work. So, and then we'll place a couple along here. Maybe just one. The actual bridges have more than these, but if we place more, it's going to look weird. So, how do we feel about that? Oh, it's pretty good. Shall we do some tunnels and then we'll get into some terrain painting? I could go for that. I could very much go for that. We'll get the train even down there, and we'll put a little bit of it up like so. And we'll get our portals. So one of the neat things about this particular build is that because somebody modeled the real Tehachapi Pass, somebody even modeled the real tunnel portals. So I need to make sure I've got the right ones. So I'm checking in TS12 to make sure I've got the right tunnel portals, which I think are going to be... So the tunnel underneath is 9. Yeah, so tunnel 9. So tunnel 9 west portal goes here. And then we'll have tunnel 9 east on the other side. And it's going to look something like this. And that's, I love when I can do these builds and I have actual, like, hey, this is the real life thing. Nice to be able to have that. I think I'm going to need to push that back a little bit more. So it looks like that. And then we'll get its counterpart 9. Oh, wait, I got that backward, didn't I? 9... Wait, which is east and which is... Okay, no, I did not get that backwards. That's the west portal. This is the east portal. I'm going to need to make sure I can actually see the east portal right before the switch. So we're going to mess around with how that fits, like so. And then we'll bury that in there like that. Yep. That feels right to me. So, And it's interesting because we can see that it was designed to be even slightly more buried than it is. So I'm going to need to just push it back further so that we can kind of hide that as best we can. That, or I may just cheat and use the east portal again as the west portal. Can I do that? Are they similar enough that I could do that? I mean, they're technically different, but I'm not redoing my whole grade just to fix this visual glitch. So we're going to cheat and make the east portal the west portal as well. Sorry. Sorry, SP purists. Thank you for bearing with me. East Coast guy here. Hope to see it in real life someday. But we gotta have fun. We gotta have our own forms of fun. When I'm looking at this, it's like, okay, what does that tell? Well, yeah, so we'll have to fabricate a little bit of a hill to hide that, but just a little bit. I don't want it to be too... Yeah, we could go with that. And then we'll just blend it in naturally with the landscape around here. Brendan Granger can also replicate the San Joaquin daylight. Funny you say that. Funny you say that. That might be a thing. You know, there's that meme with Mickey Mouse that goes, it's a surprise tool, or that we'll need later, or however that goes. So yeah, we'll just kind of get these jaggities out a little bit. But, yeah, that still looks like Tehachapi. And then over here we've got tunnel 10, we determined. And we also determined that that should be, yes, if that's the west end, then this is the west end of tunnel 10. And we're going to bury it like so. Kind of, sort of like that. And, because, yeah, I can blend in the terrain. Like, that's not going to be a problem. I can blend in the terrain like this. And make it look nice and pretty. Jimmy Lambert, didn't Mono Rarer Mag have an April Fool's article some years ago claiming that someone had rigged a sprinkler system to really swell his Bottle Creeks? Maybe. I do not know. Hello, Luke Loves Trainz. How are you doing today? Or, no, that was Jimmy. How's it going? Doing well. Got off to a little bit of a late start, but overall doing well. Life has been become very well, it is, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about like, oh, I'm so busy, life is busy. Like, it's true, and then we all say it, so it can sometimes feel like it's not. I mean, we all know we're busy, but then when somebody says, oh, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on that email, or I'm sorry I didn't get back to you, things are just busy. We get annoyed by that, right? Like, and we shouldn't, because we use that as excuses too. But it's the truth. That's a challenge with life. We can all be hypocritical at times. I just try not to do it too often. So that's our west portal. Then we've got our east portal, which is going to be about here. And look, something like... Hopefully I can use the actual east portal. Maybe I'll shorten the tunnel, because I do want to make sure it blends properly with its landscape. I don't want to be... No, I can make that work. If we put it right about... Or even here. I'm just going to bring that fascia edge out a bit, and that's how we'll do that. Like so. Tunnel portals are tricky, especially when you're doing it this way. But it's worth it, because I feel like we're doing so few structures that we really do want to get the things that we do right. I will say, though, that is... So if you choose to model something like this, IRL, one of the advantages that you are afforded is that you're not spending ages or fortunes having to build tons of tracks or create tons of trees. Yeah, you will want a bunch of shrubs, but you're not having to build tons of structures. So if structures aren't your thing, a route like this is totally a great idea, because you're modeling an area that does not have a lot of anything, really. Anything as far as development outside of the railroad itself. Which even that is only to an extent. I'm going to need to adjust that later. We'll figure that out later. I just want to make sure I got my edges taken care of. I can get this mountain blended in. Yeah. Truth, I will say, when I was considering, when I was kind of planning this build out, I did consider omitting the grade just to make my life a little bit easier. But I thought, you know, it is kind of impressive to watch the train climb. I do think there's something to be said about the idea that, okay, a ride across this is not, or drive, run, whatever, run. A run across this is not a lengthy run, so you might as well make the most of what it is. And part of doing that is making you feel like you've really climbed a lot of terrain. And I think that's something that this plan excels at, because you definitely would have an easier time of it, no doubt. You would have an easier time of it if you said, hey, I'm just going to make most of this flat with the exception of the loop. And you could totally do that and get away with it. I mean, it is your railroad after all. I am not here to tell you how to live your life, but I do think if you're looking at it as a whole, you definitely get something out of it being a climb and replicating that. To say nothing also of how the staging's set up to replicate that. We'll make that look like so. And then I'll well, this is going to continue to go downhill. I'll fix the fascia later to represent that. Well, no, I can fix the fascia now on that front, because from here, the advantage with something like this is a great place to like look up at the train, as we're going to make the most of that. I have an interest in layout idea for you. Have you ever thought of doing Steamtown, Yard, and Roundhouse? No. Short answer is no. I haven't thought of it. Does that mean I wouldn't do it? So, I think now, would I do it in real life? Probably not my point of interest, as much as I love my Canadian Steam, and I love the Canadian Steam that exists at Steamtown. Would I do it for a live stream? I think is what you're really asking. My hesitation is simply because making Steamtown would really rely on having the correct buildings. I feel like if we don't do Steamtown with its proper buildings, it's not going to feel like Steamtown. It would feel... Now, well, I'll get to that caveat. I don't think it would feel like Steamtown, and I think Steamtown really has to feel like Steamtown, because otherwise it's Yard. What I would be more inclined to do is a sort of in the spirit of Steamtown layout. So it's not Steamtown, but it's a museum with displayed choo-choos. That, because I will say that would make for an interesting modeling subject. I think it's a great way of, doing, if you, let's say you love your big steam. Let's say you have a bunch of Broadway limited imports, fancy steam locomotives, and you can't decide between Santa Fe and Boston and Albany, and because why need you decide? You can just have all the things. So let's say you have an eclectic mix of motive power. There is something to be said in the idea that maybe what you model is some kind of museum, where you're displaying this stuff. You have the ability to run it if you want, but you could also just leave it parked and have it be part of the ambience and have a little yard shuttle go around. I am totally on board with that as a concept. I would do something like that because then I don't have to feel like, well, I need the correct roundhouse and I need the correct build. Like, that's the challenge. Is I won't say no. To even the idea of branding it as Steamtown, like, maybe I would. Food for thought. Food for thought. Maybe. I will say, if you at some point envision that this is something that you yourself would want to build, I do take commissions. I will admit that I'm taking less commissions these days because my life is busier, but I'm at a point in life right now where I have room for some commissions. So if it's something that you're considering for an actual layout and you'd want to see how it works out, then yeah, then that's a more surefire way to get me to build it. Otherwise, it's like, maybe. No promises either way on that particular front. Okay, last but not least, I want to put in the highway bridge. It's going to be our scenic divider. How am I feeling about the time? It's 8:47. I want to be running trains by 9:30. But our terrain forming's largely done. So it's really going to be a lot of painting and then just putting... Yeah. Let's come back to the highway bridge. That's something that we'll come back to that. Pacific Productions can't have Steamtown without the Steamtown Mall. Well, yeah, kind of true. Actually, I'll tell you what though, Steamtown Mall makes for a perfect backdrop. Like, it's so easy to just do the mall as a flat backdrop against a wall. So, I mean, yes, it's not the most scenic thing, but if you're doing Steamtown, you do, unless you do, late 80s. I'll give you that. Okay. I feel like terrain painting. So we're going to do that. Because I'm feeling good for the most part with the sculpting. There's some buildings and scenes we're going to do, but I want to make sure we do terrain painting. Because, boy, I don't want to be running across the grid when it's time to play choo-choo. So, fortunately, I've taken the liberty of picking out some ground textures, which also means kind of pilfering them from the TS... Well, no, that's not true. I didn't pilfer them from the TS12 route. I looked at the TS12 route and said, okay, how do I match that stylistically? So, let's bring up the TS12 route. It looks like this. So, let's start, once again, at our base camp of Woodford here. So... we've got ballast, obviously. So what we've got in terms of the color palette, we've got these very dry grasses, kind of a mixture of colors there, so it's not too flat. Some dirt roads that have been painted on the creek bed here. which I'll probably replicate with a similar form of rocks. Oh, you see how like the scenery pops out and then it decides to pop in? Like that's TS12 for you. That's part of what makes TS12. Because I reviewed TS12 kind of sort of as part of when I reviewed the Reading and Northern a while back. And one of my criticisms of it was that the scenery would really pop in and out. Okay, so this is going to be our base. We've got this nice scrub grass here. That's going to serve as a base texture pretty much for the whole thing. But I kind of want to take it one scene at a time rather than going through the whole 9 yards. So let's just start with our hill here. We've got this, but again, if we just left it at this, it looks really repetitive. It looks really boring. So we are going to vary it by adding different colors of scrub grass. Probably even more than the ones I've selected here, but just really trying to break up the monotony of it. So it's not this very identifiable quilt pattern kind of thing. Let's see what else I got for scrub. Scrub dirt. That looks remarkably similar. No, that's not PBR. PBR scrub. Too green. Actually, I don't have a lot of scrubs. Usually because a scrub, I don't want no scrubs. The scrub is a kind of guy that, I can't think of the song while I'm listening to blues, but you know what I'm referencing. Well, maybe you don't. There's a song called Scrubs, or No Scrubs. There's not actually a lot of PBR scrub. PBR desert, maybe? Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got PBR desert. We'll do that. I mean, we don't need too many, but it's not entirely unimportant from a standpoint of, it is, this, we're not covering this with trees. Well, we are and we aren't. I mean, you could kind of see what we're going for, but at the same time, the trees are not dense forest. So making the ground look good is important to me as a person. Oh, I'm looking at this and realizing I should probably put a mountain here. This is the Bob Ross portion of the stream where like, oh, there should be a nice big mountain there. Is there in real life? Of course not. But it does feel like we should kind of go into something. And I like how that looks. So we're going with that. Should I? No, I was going to stop and do stuff here. But now that I'm looking at it, like, maybe I want to... Nah, we'll do this just to say we did it. So, then we need our RTXT, PBR, SP ballast, which I'm going to put in my pick list here. One of the things I love about Trainz is that it's very easy to have, once you have favorites of a thing, very easy to save them and very easy to make them project specific as well. You can kind of tell that I have pick lists for a lot of different layouts. So they are very nice to have. So we've got the terrain going like this. So that way it doesn't look entirely flat. Definitely a matter of having a mixture. And even with model railroading, you definitely want to vary your colors when you're... Oh, not that bad. You definitely want to vary your colors because if you use just one or two, it's going to be obvious you used one or two and it's going to look kind of flat. Color provides so much, even for something as basic as a high desert. I like how that looks. That makes me happy. Yeah, that really makes me happy. Oh, well, that's a rock face to where we want to give the sense of a cut, like here and here, just to make that stand out a bit more. And now along here as well. And then probably a bit here, just because that is essentially a cut surface. This, not so much. This may be a little bit, not a ton. I want a PBR. I do want kind of a rocky creek bed type of thing. I don't think I picked out something as a base for that, because I've got the sand, and then I've got this, but that's more for more rocky patches. PBR rock. So that's kind of, oh yeah, creek bed, like that. And a somewhat different color from the other colors we've got. Yeah, I could dig that as a thing. I could definitely dig that as a thing. So, Nick, your creek bed is at a million different heights. I know. Let's fix that. Let's figure out what the height is here, and then basically use that as our reference point so that we're not being too, there's not too much discrepancy with what we're doing. There we are. Now our creek bed's the right height. We'll widen it a little bit, like so. That, yeah, that's looking good to me. This is making me happy. And then the last thing we're going to do, and then we'll expand beyond this, are the trees. Let's see. Catch up on your questions. Luke left Trainz. I'm trying to form a nonprofit in the state of Michigan called Traverse Rail Heritage Alliance. Trying to have a museum. We currently have a GoFundMe. We also believe that the history of the railroads should be accessible, especially for young people with wheelchairs. Biggest things that you would recommend for a group like ours. Okay. Thoughts. Let's do some more terrain painting, because I could do terrain painting and answer your question at the same time. Then we'll come back and do the shrubs. So thoughts and feelings about starting nonprofits in general. So I think the first question that I have for you, Luke, is what are you trying to accomplish, and how is what you are trying to accomplish different from what other organizations are trying to accomplish, organizations specific to your area are trying to accomplish? Like, what is the unique selling factor, so to speak? What's the unique mission of your organization? Because you want to be able to very clearly articulate, here is what we are about. So when you say, so trying to have a museum, okay, so what history are you looking to preserve? Do you have specific pieces of equipment? Are there specific artifacts or stories that are significant? That is really, really, really important. You need to be able to articulate that so that it's evident to everybody what is unique there. Especially like when you're trying to make a national appeal, you can't assume that people already know that much about your area. So it's like, what is unique about your area? What's unique about what you're doing, how you're doing it, all that kind of stuff. So doing a GoFundMe, okay, hot take. I do not say this to in any way diminish what you're doing, or insult anybody who does this, but I frankly think there are way too many GoFundMes in rail preservation. I think there's way too many people trying to raise way too much money at one time. I'm not here to say that, like, your thing is not important. Luke or whoever is listening to this who has a GoFundMe. But frankly, there are quite a few GoFundMes that exist that I don't think are thoroughly thought through in terms of what makes the fundraising appeal unique, especially if you're trying to appeal to people outside the region. And even with a GoFundMe, like, who are you hoping is donating to this? I mean, I know like we want everybody to donate, but you really need a target market and a target audience for when you're trying to make these appeals. So I would be careful about putting the cart before the horse on the GoFundMe front. I think you really need to understand like what it is you're trying to do and what you're trying to convey. So what are the biggest things you would recommend? So know your mission, know your goals, make your goals small baby steps that you build on. Don't come out and tell me that you're going to restore steam locomotive to operation as your first thing. Like, no matter how skilled your people are, how much experience you do or don't have, baby steps. You got to introduce yourself to the world, and you got to do so in a way that feels incremental and that people are getting to know who you are and build trust in you and your organization so that they will give you the money to do the things. But yeah, make your goals feasible based on the resources you have. Understanding the resources you have is also a big thing. Like, how many people do you have on board? What is the kind of, how many people are in your area that are rail fans that you think you could tap to participate in this endeavor in some kind of way? These are all the kinds of things to be asking. It is, and I think you really have to consider, like, what is it that we're doing that's unique? Especially if part of the goal is to kind of, you know, put yourself on the map outside of your region. What makes what you're doing unique? Because I think it's a crowded field. Like, if you're looking at rail preservation as a national thing, like, the barrier to entry has never been lower, and there's great elements of that. I think it's great that there are new startups appearing and so many new people getting in and trying new projects. And I don't want to diminish any of that, while at the same time saying that the result is that we have a very, the market is very full. And again, I'll be honest, I see entities that are like, hey, donate to our organization because we're going to get a steam locomotive operational. And they're putting it out there as a way of like, hey, don't you want to see a steam locomotive operating? And I'm not here to say I don't, but I'm also here to point out that there are, I could probably name 24 different steam locomotives that are being fundraised for with the hopes of operation nationally. And that's even without getting into like Canada or the UK. Not to say they shouldn't, but I think the point is, what makes your steam locomotive restoration unique is a question that I wish more organizations asked themselves, so that when they were putting out their fundraising appeals, that they were considering that. Because I again, I don't want to name names, I don't want to point fingers, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad. But these are, you know, you asked my opinion, and I have lots of thoughts and opinions. So I'm sorry if this is too much. And I don't mean to insult anybody with what they're doing. I want so many thoughts and feelings. I want our field to succeed, and I sometimes am concerned that we kind of trip over ourselves because of the amount of stuff that's going on. I know that's way more than what you asked for. Hopefully there's stuff that's in there that's useful. Big takeaway points would be, know what you're about. Try to find the unique qualities, like not just leaning on, hey, we're going to appeal to rail fans because we're into Trainz, but really think about how you could bring in non-rail fans into supporting your cause. What you could do that's unique as far as fundraising. These are the things that I encourage you to consider. And maybe you already are, and I wish you the best of luck with what you're embarking on, because there's a lot to be gained, a lot to be learned, and it can be a really fun adventure. And I wish you the best of luck with it. Hopefully you found that interesting. I know this has nothing to do with designing a train layout, but you know, here we are just painting, essentially just painting the terrain. So hopefully those of you tuning along at home find something of interest or value in those sentiments. Yeah, it's been interesting. Part of what's been interesting for me doing this paternity leave is that I've taken a break from a lot of the forms of work, and it's really made me try to be more observant about what I'm seeing in the field in general, because it definitely makes me think about my relationship to it. So some other comments. This is coming along nicely. Thank you, Kurt. I think the scenery is one of my favorite aspects. Scenery is a lot of fun. There's no doubt about that. Night Monkey. Hi, Nick. Since your last stream, I got Trainz 2022 and made a layout for my grandpa and a PRR middle division for myself. I just want to thank you for all the inspiration you gave me. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that the last stream provided inspiration. I'm glad that you've had fun. You know, one of my sort of models for what I'm doing here. I've really come to love watching the Bob Ross episodes, and they're all available on YouTube. And during the weekends, they'll do like these endless 24-hour live streams where you can just watch episode after episode. I don't even watch them. I just put them in the background, and I like hearing him talk. And I like to believe that I'm doing kind of my own variation of that here. Like whether or not you're going to actually build this layout, whether or not you're actually going to visit Tehachapi, or you care about train simulators or not, whether you're learning techniques for building a route in Trainz or not. I just hope that you're having fun and that you're enjoying being here. Like that's what this is about. It's just, and if you get something out of what I say or watching what I do, then that's really nice. So thank you. Trainman 3585. Hi Nick, great video and awesome work. Thank you. All right, so Luke has some more comments, which I'll just briefly. Did my internet crap up? No, I don't think so. No, weird. Okay. Oh, popular night. We're doing well. Okay. Luke, feel free to send me more information on Facebook after the stream. We do have a very beautiful area in terms of museum part. Yeah, just send me more information off stream. Be happy to take a look at it. You know, happy to give my feedback. And I try to balance it, because I am a man of strong thoughts and feelings and strong opinions, but I would never want those opinions to come across as crass or like I know all the answers or anything of that sort. I am just one guy learning life, as is everybody else. But I'd like to believe that I've seen enough things in the preservation world to have, you know, some degree of knowledge about what I think works and what doesn't. There's some degree. Feel free to critique me in the comments. And it is such a fascinating. I mean, there's so many elements to what we do that are just that I think we take for granted, because we're just used to existing in this ecosystem of model railroading and so forth. There's a lot of things that we take for granted, and it's like, oh, it's actually really cool that we like that. It's really cool that we do that. And I'm exploring ways, shall we say, that I want to dive deeper into that. I will say that I am working on a thing. I don't want to give a lot of information about it because it's somewhat early days for the thing. I'm working on a video that I am hoping to have done in the next month. It's going to be on this YouTube channel. It's really different from what I've done. And yet, if you liked At the Rail Yard, I think it's going to... There's elements of it that'll feel familiar. It's not a train sim review. It's not an At the Rail Yard episode. But there's definitely things I'm doing that are informed by what I used to do at the rail yard. So yeah, not another At the Rail Yard episode, but if you like At the Rail Yard, I think you will like this thing that I'm working on. And I'm really excited about it. It's an idea that I've come up with in the past month, and it's something, shall we say, emotionally different. It's emotionally different. And I really don't want to say more than that, because otherwise I'm afraid I'm going to give away too much. I'd love to tell you all about it and be like, oh, guys, this idea, like, oh, here's what I'm envisioning, here's what I'm doing. But that part comes later. That part comes later. But I hope you'll like it. I could say that. I hope it's something that you'll find entertaining and meaningful. It's something that I will say it's come about specifically because I went on a paternity leave and became a parent, and what I've learned already through that journey. As it pertains to, and yes, don't worry, it has Trainz in it. I can say that. It does most assuredly have Trainz in it. So here we go. This is our first done section. We've got all this nice shrub action going on. Some big shrubs, some little shrubs. You get a shrub, and you get a shrub, and we're just putting them all over the place. Because if we look at Tehachapi, which I keep kind of leaving there, it is actually covered in a bunch of trees. It's just, and I don't know that these are actually the trees you would see, but it does have a bunch of trees. But these feel more like the trees one would actually see if one was out there. So, I'm happy with it. So we're going to continue this thought forward, and then we're going to really analyze what we're doing with Waylon. Make sure we're happy with the loop. Oh, thank you, Luke. I appreciate the congratulations. Yeah. One of the things I'm definitely learning through fatherhood is patience. And I'm learning to also try to pick projects where I can be patient with myself. Especially when it comes to model railroading. I think historically I look at a project and like, oh, I want to be done with that as soon as I can to move forward. And I'm trying to look at a project more from a standpoint of like, here's what I want to accomplish today. So that when I accomplish that thing today, it's like, oh, I did that and it's done. And that's the victory. And not just the victory of the whole thing is complete. In fact, tell you what, I'll show you what I'm working. I'll show you one thing I'm really happy about. This is a nearly completed Strasburg Railroad coach. It's the Mill Creek. It's a 3D printed kit, but the paint job, the paintwork is all mine. And so all it needs is basically windows and some detail painting around the steps, because the steps need to be painted the same red as the sides, but it's done. I am so happy with it. I mean, you can't see the resolution on the webcam, but take my word for it, the decals, oh, the decals came out perfectly. Like, the decals are not too, the decals don't look like decals. Like, they don't have that kind of silvery film that sometimes you get with decals. I was able to use some techniques to avoid that being an issue. So really happy with it as a project. So that's the kind of thing where, like, I'll work on a little bit of it, then I go outside, spray paint it, leave it for a day, then I'm able to do some other bits, then do some more painting, and rinse and repeat kind of thing. That's been really fulfilling. And it's been fulfilling in particular because I don't feel like I need to get it all done in one day. I feel like I can enjoy it piece by piece. Alrighty. So I don't want this to be all too samey, so I'm going to I'm going to look at the TS12 version of what I'm trying to do. So we've got the loop, we're here. We want this, yeah. Oh, I need to put a pull line. That's one of the things I'm going to have to do at some point, put a pull line. So I think the sparseness is right, but I think I need to make this lower because it feels too high up. So we're going to lower the terrain like so it feels more distinct. There we are. That feels more like it. Let me get some of those small Japanese maples there and some of the JVC shrubs. And we're going to... A lot of JVC shrubs. A lot of these small guys. Dotting the landscape like so. That... Yeah. I think honestly the thing that's missing is just the backdrop. Like we don't have the mountains. And I wish we did. But I couldn't find any. I don't really have any photos of that area to be able to use. Love how it looks. Thanks, Gert. I'm liking how this is coming out. Like, this is feeling right. This is feeling right to me. Oh, Violet, the camera woman, gorgeous. Oh, thank you. Well, I'm glad that you like it, Violet. Yeah. This is getting the right feel. This is doing the things that it feels like it should be doing scenically. Okay, let's analyze the Waylon scene. Okay, that's going to be... I wish I could do this kind of thing with more of my layouts. Like this ability to just be like, hey, here's what the real thing, you know, the sim version of the thing looks like. And can we, you know, mimic that? So I'm going to put this in this window just so I can see that more clearly. So we've got this row. So distinctly less trees over here. Still some, but I don't want it to feel as tree heavy. I'm going to put some around here, but I do want to mimic those roads because that is very much actually the thing that I'm realizing I don't quite have. And I don't know if I could quite do it. So as I'm looking at this, I'm realizing, all right, so we don't quite have the vertical height that the real Waylon has. Does that matter? No. But it means I think I'll kind of... I don't think I'll put a road there just because I don't want to mess around with the portal. I'll put roads on the sides that lead up to the portal, so it still has the right kind of look about it, but it's just not the same thing. Not the same exact thing. Some of these are, you know, the shortcomings of Trainz, modeler's license, all that kind of mixture of stuff. But I'd also say, you know, if Trainz isn't your passion like it is mine, I don't think you need, and you're using it for layout planning, you don't necessarily need to go to this length. I mean, if you want to, again, I do take commissions, and I'd be happy to talk with you about bringing your vision to life. But if you want to go it on your own, you don't need to go to the lengths I do. You might just lay the track and be like, hey, I could just see how the track looks in a 3D space, and that's good enough for me. And there's nothing wrong with that as an approach. We're going to have a second row that kind of comes down here and does this. So I'm going to also adjust that a little bit so that we get a nice look through there. Oh man, 9:17. Where does the time go? Well, there's a reason, I guess. I didn't do that highway bridge yet. Because I do want to make sure... We might not get to playing right at 9:30, but I do not want to make you guys wait indefinitely on that front. You've been such a lovely audience. Like to take you home with us. Love to take you home. Sand. We're kind of mimicking the dirt roads a little bit without doing actual spline dirt roads. Partially for time, partially just because these are, you're not going to have a ton of cars on these. These are really just sort of access road types of things. And we're just kind of trying to emulate that. And that's the nice, quick, and dirty way of doing it. Have one coming down here too, like this. Coming off here, and then where does it go? It kind of parallels the road for a while, but there's also a highway that's nearby. Yeah, we'll just make it go off that way. It follows it for a bit, and then... But I don't want it to be on the mountainside, so we'll kind of reshape it like so. But I'm happy with that as a thing. Oh. Yay for that undo button. So, I am happy enough with that as a thing. Is there anything else I'm looking at? We should get a little bit of fences in there. I did want to put in the fences and the pole lines. Oh, also, I didn't want to forget about that. Yes, we do have a signal bridge. So I'm not going to put signals on this version just because if I start putting signals, it makes things complicated. Trainz then all of a sudden like treats everything as blocks. But we're going to evoke the signals with the signal bridge. Escher logged off to go look at something. Wow, it's some great progress. Thank you. I'm glad you think so. Well, lots of fun conversation. Yes. No, I love having the conversation. I love having you guys here and being part of the creative process of this because it's definitely fun. Okay. Now, along the tracks is going to be rock, but let's do our kind of basic texture spamming before we get to that. But yeah, I will say, it's been nice to have the root open in another window in TS12. Makes me wish I could do this kind of thing more often. The challenge with it is that I would need to use other roots that are in Trainz 12, and I do not have a lot of them. Not ones that would make for good kind of live stream material. Like I do have a Reading and Northern root in there that I could always do. And maybe at some point we'll return to our old stomping grounds of the Reading and Northern and do another stream centered around that. And I should say, as far as coming back, there are more streams on the way. Can't promise if it'll be a monthly thing, but I do intend to be streaming somewhat regularly. I've got some other ideas. That I think will be fun. So, look forward to exploring that and doing that with you guys. We're gonna do all the textures at once. We're gonna do all of that, and then we'll do the shrubs. Not gonna have time for we'll get the highway, shrubs, highway bridge, telephone line, then that's it. I think we'll omit the farm. So technically the farm that I've been talking about is on this outer edge here. Nick, why are you omitting the farm? The farm's so iconic. All right, I hear you. Yes, we'll do the farm. We'll do the farm. That's too big. But we'll do the farm like this. Yeah. We're not going to go crazy on detailing the farm. And we really are going to have to push in the corner. It's going to feel way too big. I can live with that. Yeah. And then we'll level the ground around it so it's not all wonky. I hope you don't mind me, guys, giving you voices, but I'm like, oh, we've got to do the farm. It won't be complete without the farm. But, you know, I can't hear you, so I gotta find my amusement in some form or fashion. So thank you for indulging me. Yeah, so we got that. Let's get some line side fences. So, where's my fence? So we've got the farm. I thought I said, oh, yes, chain link fence. No, that's not what I wanted. Why did I think I wanted that? Fence wire is what I want. Barbed wire fence. Perfect. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. We just want a fence to kind of be like, hey, here's the farm. It is not the railroad track. Don't trespass on railroad tracks, kids. There's a lot more where I mean, we can look around here and see that the fencing is pretty much everywhere, but I'm not going to worry about all of that. We'll just use it in a couple of places for the sake of evoking the idea of fencing. Like here as well, we'll have some fencing run through there, just to say we did. Again, could do a lot more than I am, but in the interest of finishing what we set out to finish, we're just going to do bits of it. Line side telegraph poles, yeah, now feels like a good time to do that, so I can kind of make sure that So the line side poles, IRL, and yes, I know I'm saying IRL and then showing the sim, and maybe it's totally different, but okay, they're on the right side of the track pretty much throughout, and then when we get to the tunnel, they don't go around the loop, they just kind of skip ahead, which makes sense. So, yeah, we'll try to emulate that. I don't do a lot of pole lines with my layouts, and they are the type of thing I should do more of. I will be the first to say that. Because I do think pole lines are sort of one of those iconic elements of railroading. Like, especially if you're talking... I mean, even if you're talking post them actually being used, but just their mere existence kind of is an essential thing. And so, yeah, do it like that. Because I do think pole lines are very much an important part of the landscape. So we're just kind of roughing it in, because we don't need to get it perfect. This is a model railroad. This is where I really love Trainz and its spline features. Like, hey, I just need a bunch of pole lines. Trainz, do your thing. And it's like, sure, I'll place them at the correct height. I'll place them all around. And there you go. How is the pole line handled around? Oh, it goes over the hill. So it kind of goes away from the tunnel portal, which makes sense. So we'll do it kind of like so. And then like that. Oop. Like that. I'm going to check my layers because I have a... Nope, I've been building on the right layer. I should save because I don't nearly save enough. Hello, Matthew Harris. Looks great, thank you. That would be a ghost train beyond Tunnel 10. Oh yeah, the smoke hanging in the air. Yes, that was when we were playing earlier and testing out the track profile. Boy, I'm loving how this is looking. I don't know about you guys, but I am happy about how this is coming together. This makes me happy. This very, very much makes me happy. Like, looking at this is like, this is kind of what I envisioned, but it's funny. Obviously, I have some idea of what I want things to look like. I'm choosing the assets in advance and all that kind of thing, but there is something fun about the actual build. And like, oh, that's what that looks like. Oh, like, even as I'm doing the farm, like, oh, that. Even without the trees. You know, and especially because you get that with model rarity, but it's sort of it's a slower evolution, or the details are finer. Where here, it's like, oh, look, I've just done all my ballasting. Wow, that looks nice, if I do so myself. At least for what I'm trying to do. I mean, you know, if I were, like, really going to town on this, I'd do raise profile and all that kind of stuff. But this is very much in a spirit of what is getting the gist of the thing. I try to pick out projects for these streams where I feel like we're getting the spirit of it, but not getting too bogged down in details. If I want to get bogged down in details, and I very much want to get bogged down in details with some of my projects, that's fine. And those are the ones that I do off stream, that either release off stream or we just play later. Because sometimes watching me get bogged down in details might be fun, and other times you'd be like, God, I can't watch him trying to place this stupid spline for 2 hours straight. I could feel you shouting through your monitors. Or maybe you are. Maybe you're not. I mean, look, if you want to watch me building a layout that's not like, you know, as transformative for a few hours, I'm happy to throw on a stream that's just like, hey, we're just, you know, whittling away at a little thing of a bigger project. But I kind of get the sense that you're here for the, you know, here's the layout transformation. And I want to make sure, you know, as far as Great Train Layouts Live is concerned, that the streams are these sort of like, hey, let's see this layout evolve over the course of a few hours. Let's play with it. I do want that to be the heart of what we do. But boy, yeah, like that. It is. Oh, impressive route, the Thunder Turbine in 8860. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Yeah, I mean I just. There's something so satisfying, especially with this one where I've been excited about building this for a couple weeks now, and now here I am building it, and so and obviously, as I explained earlier in the stream, I spent some time off stream building portions of it and coming up with ideas, and now here we are actually doing the thing. And it is a payoff. It's sort of the equivalent of a dominoes, where you there's so much time spent trying to get the dominoes track ready and setting up all the pieces, and then the live stream is knocking them over and watching them all fall into place. And that that's the fun that I have with these, is like, hey, here, let's explore an idea, let's have fun with it, and then we get to try it together. Sometimes you guys have a knack for giving me some really good ideas too. You'll be watching along and be like, hey, you could try this thing, or hey, there's this asset that you could download that'll work better for what you're doing, and I am all here for it. I love learning from you guys and being able to say, okay, how could we do this? How could I do this differently? What new techniques could I pick up along the way? And I hope that if you're considering building Tehachapi already, that this pushes you over the edge. Let's talk about if you're building Tehachapi. So one of the things that I knew I wanted to explore, well, rephrase. So when I was considering Tehachapi, there were a couple of options in my mind, of which this was one. There's another track plan from Model Railroader July 2014 that isn't technically Tehachapi, but it's very much based on it, that I considered building. It's smaller than this one. And that's part of why I considered it, is like, oh, do I want to build a larger thing? Are people going to be interested in a larger build? But I ultimately went with this because nobody's built this before. Like the one in Model Railroader, somebody's built, but nobody's built this, to my knowledge. Exact plan from Railroads You Can Model by Mike Schafer, 1975. You can get a copy on eBay pretty easily. That's where I got mine. So there's so many ways to do Tehachapi. Some people do the entire subdivision. What I wanted to talk a little bit about is, like, how could you make this even smaller? Because I did debate, like, maybe I just do the loop. And you could do the loop. Let's say you don't have a space as big as 15 by 24. You could omit Woodford and Marcel. And you could instead have the loop, and then it just immediately curves, so that you've got this section here, and maybe it would go up to the door. Maybe it'd even be unscenic, and it would just be staging, like an unscenic staging, just so you can do the loop. You could make the loop smaller. This loop is 6 feet diameter. You could push it to 4. You could increase the grade percentage. I'm just looking at the chat. I'll get back to the chat in a second. So Tehachapi is the kind of thing that lends itself to a lot of interpretation. The other thing that I was thinking about as I was contemplating this build is that you could model Tehachapi and not call it that, which is to say, let's say you're not interested in Southern California at all, you don't care about SP or SF. What I hope you take away from this plan, and we'll explore this once we get to playtesting in a moment, is that it's not just about the idea of you could make this a wooded loop. You could base this on, say, Williams Loop on the Western Pacific. You could make it a wooded area. You could make your own fictional loop, and just do this exact track plan, set it somewhere entirely different, and still get the same degree of operations. Which is to say, mainline showcasing with meets. And especially, what I will say is that the advantage of putting it in mountains, as the article points out, is that your trains are moving slower. You know, if you modeled the plains, and you've got, you know, a stretch of 70-mile-an-hour track, well, your train's going to be, you know, through the scene in maybe 30 seconds. Or something like this, where the trains are going at, you know, maybe 20 miles an hour, they're going to really take their time. So you're going to really appreciate them for longer as a result of that. Because I looked at this, and you guys know I'm a Canadian modeler. I thought, you know, what would this be like if it was kind of evoking the CP mainline and evoking the spiral tunnels? Problem with the spiral tunnels is they're hidden. So they're kind of boring as a subject. Like, it's basically tunnel portal, tunnel portal. But if you evoked them with something like this, I mean, you do what you want. It's your railroad. Okay, last thing I want to do, because we are at 9:35, and I do want to get to the playtesting part of the show. I'm looking at this, and I'm going, this largely makes me happy. I didn't get to making the town of Woodford. I don't think I want to worry about that right now, because Woodford will be... I think that'll take a little bit of time. We're going to just ignore that for now. We're going to kind of treat this as if it's an extension of the staging. But other than Woodford, we did get to pretty much everything I wanted to. We've got the grade coming out of Woodford. I wanted to add some rocks so that it's more evident that that's on a kind of face. And I should also do that for around the curve here. Like, nice rock faces. Like, yes, we're emphasizing that this is a man-made feature, an American, a staple of American railroading. Yay, gotta get that 250 spirit. Bits of rock cut here, especially here because we don't have the mount, so we kind of have to, like, evoke it. Good idea to evoke it through here. And bits of here, and especially around here. I am really happy with that. So I don't have time to do dig holes on this, so we're going to just do a quick grid replace of all the grid with black so that it's not distracting us while we play test. So to do that, I'm going to go to bulk acid replace, and we're going to bulk acid replace, not the wall. We're going to bulk acid replace the grid with black, and take black texture, and boom. That way it's less distracting. I mean, yes, I know we still have scenery on the sides. Okay, I'll paint it black to make it a little less distracting. But there you go. You know, this allows us to focus on the topic at hand, which is look at all that pretty scenery. And I gotta say, at the risk of toting my own horn, I'm really happy with how this turned out, especially because I'm an East Coast guy. I feel in my comfort zone with my forests and my Appalachian coal branches. This is branching out for me. But it was fun. What do you know? Branching out is fun. Quick catching up on the chat. Kurt's dropping that there are a few Canadian prototypes on their radar, but they can't say anything yet. I am excited to see what that means. Because I'd love to see what that means. Blue Comet Productions, hey Chad, proudly supports Canadian modeling. Hey, same here. Same here. I think it's been a while since I did my last CP layout. I'm probably overdue. Who is the BCP guy? I love his opinion, though. Not sure what BCP guy you're referring to. Oh, Crazy Spud. Sorry, your comments from a while back. Can you import track plans into Trainz? Yes. Trainz a New Era, Trainz 19. There's a program called Base Maps used to import track plans. It's super easy once you get the hang of it, and yes, you can absolutely import track plans. I'm going to move the pole line over here, and then last but not least, we're going to build this highway bridge, because that's not going to take too long. Hash to bridge, I think is what I'm looking for. We're going to make a nice beefy 4-lane. Nah, too beefy. Let's do 2-lane. Because we don't need it to be wide. The main reason we're doing this, of course, is just because we want a way to hide the disappearing scenery. This road doesn't actually exist in real life. But it's or at least there isn't a highway overpass at this point, but again, we're kind of evoking a thing. Let me try searching highway bridge. This one's not doing quite what I wanted to do. But yes. And just for context, yeah, we're looking at, basically we're here, but again, there's no real highway bridge, so we're making up a thing. This is the one I wanted. Maybe? Been way too long. Been a long time, been a long, long time. Lonely, 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 lonely time. Not really lonely. Far from lonely. But, I'm going strong on the song references today. Okay, so we're gonna make this like so. Oh, I like that. I do like that as a scenic divider. And then I'm gonna put in my yarn D2, I think it is, or L2. Okay, L2. We're gonna do double line. And then just kind of spin it off into here like so. Straighten that out. Height adjust that. Terrain adjust that. What did that do? Why did that not do? Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted it to do. Move that tree that's growing out in the middle of the road. Delete that extra bridge. Oh, that. I like that. I like that a lot. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but for me, I'm looking at that and I'm feeling, oh, like this is what I wanted. So let's stand back. Let's take a moment, absorb it, and kind of review what we got here. And I will take off the TS12 comparison from the live stream, just because then you can see the whole thing like I can. So what we are looking at, we've got Tehachapi Pass as modeled in HO scale in a roughly 15 by 24 foot space. We've got the big centerpiece Waylon, the loop, as you may know it to be. We've got a little bit of the adjoining main line. We've got Woodford down here, and we've got Marcel up here, kind of sort of, or the beginnings of it. Marcel's basically staging, Woodford's basically staging. But the point is, there are places that we can set up trains to go choo-choo. We've got a little bit of the farm. We've got a nice variety of topography. We've got places where the track is above, the places where the track is below. Like, this is a nice plan. I could say it's a nice plan because I didn't make the plan. I just made the layout. But this makes me happy. I think this is something that, I mean, there's a reason Tehachapi's Tehachapi. And there's a reason it's modeled a lot. I'm not the first person to model it. I will not be the last. But I like it. Like, it's got a character and a charm about it. And I, you know, there's something, what I'm really appreciating about it is that it's impressive, not just for the loop itself, but the way it kind of presents itself. And that's, I mean, that's partially the luck of Mother Nature, because as we've seen in TS12, if you look at a map, the line really does curve that way. It does really go through a tunnel there. It really curves that way and does I mean, we've compressed some of the distances, but the features are as they are. The curves go in the direction that they really go, which you don't always luck out in model railroading. You're frequently needing to add curves and so forth. So there's something about just looking at it from this far back too, that it presents itself so nicely. And just wait till we put some nice long trains on it. Quick comments and then we'll do so. Well, quick water break. Speaking of base maps, is there a way to make it work with Windows 11? Yeah, I'm running Windows 11. I've never had issue installing it. So if you're having issue, I'd go to the Orange forums, the official forums, and post there, because I've never had issue. It's really easy to install. Good night, Luke. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you like it, Kurt. I'm super happy with how this just turned out. So let us stage some trains, and we're gonna stage all of the. What we're gonna do is what we do in a play session, which is we're gonna stage all of the trains at once, and then we're gonna run them. Some of them I've been forward thinking and I have them ready to go. Others I'm going to need to build up. So we'll do that one piece at a time. The staging area back here, I will admit, not my finest work. It's a bit rough around the edges, but I kind of felt like, frankly, this was not a layout where I wanted to go all out on trying to make it realistic. I just wanted to have the staging. I wanted to focus primarily on the running, but let's see what we've got in the wings. Let's start with the SP stuff, because we're going to lead. Our first train out is going to be ATSF. We got to focus on that 2900. But let's see what we've got. Oh, we've got a 30-car reefer train led by a cab forward with a helper. That sounds fun. Yeah, we'll put that as the follow-up to our first train out. I also need to throw that switch so I can set it up correctly. So for those who are tuning in later, the way that staging works out, our two ends of the line are Woodford down here and Marcel at the top. We've got a 2-track loop that's like a 2-track reversing loop, essentially, for looping trains around, because there's 3 tracks that emerge at Woodford. So we could just stage trains here. So the eastbounds become westbounds, westbounds become eastbounds when they change place at Marcel. And we've got a 2-track loop up here. We've also got this giant helix so that we can store trains, as well as also being able to just run trains continuously in the same direction. I don't know that we'll play with that today, because it does take ages for them to climb up and down. But we can take solace in knowing our helix is there. Brings back vintage trains over Tehachapi Pass. Yeah, that was a tape that I looked at acquiring too. Okay, so we've got that. What else we got? Oh, I don't know. How about a San Joaquin? Didn't I make a San Joaquin? Or no, I didn't make the San Joaquin, because we don't have all the cars for San Joaquin. So we're going to cheat and use a Coast Daylight. But, you know, like, we're going to use a Coast Daylight that's detouring. Because I initially tried to do the San Joaquin, but it doesn't have all the cars. So we've got a nice Alco PA heavy San Joaquin. That'll probably be the train that we meet on the way down. We'll stage something with it. We'll figure out something. Truth be told, we'll probably run all the trains. So we've got that. What else do I want to create? Oh, I was going to get that. I didn't end up getting that right. Well, we'll just play with a lot of cab forwards then. What the heck? Well, I was going to get some more SP power and didn't, so we'll just do another. I want to have an SP tanker train, so we're going to grab us another. Or, well, no, we've got 2 SP trains. Let's do 2 Santa Fe trains. So we'll start by getting ourselves set up with the northern and the tender. We should have it staged up here, ready to go. And we'll put it in the other siding because the San Joaquin Daylight filled up one of the sidings. We're going to make it loaded with UTLX 6,000 tankers. Yeah, we'll put like... Oh, that's an itty-bitty one. That's too itty-bitty. There we go. We'll put like 20 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm glad I staged a bunch of my other trains already. Okay, now you're gonna have to forgive me, Southern Santa Fe purists. I know what you're gonna see is gonna horrify you and shock you, and I apologize. I am gonna use a caboose that is not appropriate for the era. I know you're gonna be like, Nick, the Santa Fe did not use these cabooses until 1970. And I'm gonna say, random person on the internet, I know, but I literally could not find anything earlier than this caboose. At least not anything that looked good. But I could not find, you know, a CE2 or whatever. So, it's red, it's on the end of the train. We're gonna go with it. So, we've got our tanker train, we've got our San Joaquin Daylight, we've got our reefer block, and we've got, what else do we want to throw in the mix, guys? Oh, let's do something, do I have any consolidations? Or, what else do I have that's SP? I surely have other SP steam. I think I have some Mikados. I want to throw in a maintenance away train, just to have some fun. Like, what if we took Waylon out of service and then had to keep running trains? Not those. Yeah, I mean, there are those, but that's... I thought I had... Oh yeah, the GSs are nice. I thought about running something with them, but we've already got our pasture train. Oh, sugar beets! Yeah, we should totally do something with sugar beets. Okay, another cab forward with a bunch of sugar beets. Let's do... 8, 9, 10... 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I still want to do the maintenance away train because I have some I haven't even told you about what I'm modeling. We'll get to that in a minute. I thought I had some kind of Mikado or consolidation or something. For that. What am I gonna do? I am going to put... Oh, of course! F-Units! Southern Pacific F-Units! Black Widows! Yes! Let's have fun with some as-delivered Black Widow. Oh, with the plow! Yes! Ah, this is so Donner Pass vibes. Yeah, let's have fun with that. And then we need some B-Units, and then we need the back. And then we connect it, and then I need to get my caboose on the end. I'm going to shorten that train a little bit. Diesels tend to struggle uphill, and I don't want to discover that I made that train too heavy. So we're going to shorten it a wee bit. And then I'm going to grab this caboose that I have on this train here and throw it on here. And then we're going to add it into the mix of trains waiting to go at... because we've basically... Well, I could put it at the top of the hill, but I'm not going to. We're going to put it here. I just need to make sure it's not blocking my exit. Is it blocking the exit? Nope, it's not blocking the exit. It'll go around the outside. Oh, except I forgot the last train of all, which is going to be... We're going to start off with that big merchandise train. So I want to throw this on the siding. No, I want to throw it where it's at. And then I'm going to put the merchandise train where it's at. Okay. Nick knows what he's doing some of the time. 60% of the time, Nick knows what he's doing 100% of the time. I'm going to move that down. Now this one is so big that we have to go through because we will not fit in the siding of Waylon. But I figured let's start out with like a big chunky train. Let's start out with big chunky. In fact, I also think I want to make that... Oh yeah, that reminds me of another thing I wanted to do. But let's, before I get too caught up. Okay, we've got our... we've got 5 trains ready to go. I do want to do a little... I want to do an MOW thing. I thought I had a 282. Okay, so... No. OC? Nessie? I thought I had some kind of Santa Fe SE. and SE? Carbon? Nope, not what I'm looking for. Bear with me, guys. One last train I want to get set up. Let's see. Should be OC and SE. Yeah. OC and SE. OC and SE. Why am I not seeing? There we go. That's what I wanted. We are going to throw on a Mikado, and it's technically labeled for, I think, a fictional railroad, but I want it, and so it's what we're going to go with. It has the SP vibe, and I want to throw it in the mix. We're doing a maintenance away train, because MOW is fun. Oh yeah, I could do my fictional railroad bunk cars. Sure, why not? And we'll do... And then I can talk about why I'm doing the thing that I'm doing. And an SP cab. There we go. Okay. We have 6 trains ready to go. 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom. We are going to run the program. We are going to do the thing. We are going to see how it all folds out. Although, actually, I'm realizing I should put that one underneath because I'm probably going to stick the boxcar train on the staging. There we go. So, we're going to try to get all of these trains through. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to be the engineer for all of them. At least I don't have to do any switching. Thank goodness for that. Let us do the thing. So, in honor of the first... Actually, let's put the... We'll run the... No, I can't run that first. Well, we'll start with the Coast Daylight, because it's going to need to go on the side and wait for us to go by. So we're going to start with Coast Daylight. We're going to bring it out of staging. And then we're going to stop it at Waylon, because it has to. So we're going to throw it in the siding so that our 40 boxcar behemoth can get by. So for, and then that'll make for a nice, neat of a thing. William Babcock, do you by chance have an ATS of 5,210.4? I don't think there's any, I don't think anybody's ever made them for Trainz. Otherwise I would have downloaded one. Because I definitely researched, like, motive power for this. As you can tell, I even made some consists in advance. So, yay for some degree of planning. I'm going to turn that down just so you can still hear me. Let me know if you can't. But here we are. We are coming out of staging with the Coast Daylight. Or San Joaquin Daylight, depending on how you want to define it. And then we're going to do the big climb. We're going to make our first full trip around this layout with the big 40 boxcar merchandise train led by 2 Broadway Limited Imports, or, you know, evoking the Broadway Limited Imports models, class 2900s. So we're going through the first tunnel. Got a nice long passenger train. That's the other nice thing about a loop. Hey, you've got a big passenger train. You want to see it all in one fell swoop. Well, build yourself a big loop, and that's one way to accomplish that. So, here we are coming into Waylon. We are coming in a bit fast. I forget what the actual speed limit is, but there's a difference, too, with model railroading between what's the speed limit and what also just looks good in a particular space. Oh, I accidentally routed it over the, what did I route it over? I routed it over the passing side, but that's okay. That's kind of actually, that's sort of a maintenance way side. So if we wanted to do work, that's probably the way that we would do it. Oh, I should have put the boxcar train on that. So, oh, well, doesn't matter. So there we go. Our passenger train is tucked in. And now it's time to bring out the behemoth. And what I'm going to do for this next part, we're going to run it. I'm going to switch up the music. I'm going to put on something cinematic and epic. I'm going to stop talking so we can just kind of take it in and vibe with Tehachapi, if you will. So first I need to change up the song to, here we go. What was that? Pause that song, play this song. So what'd you guys think of that? Nice little dramatic moment. Oh, let me make sure I've thrown my switch properly into the staging. Last thing I want to... Oh, I have not, and it's going to try to run the switch. So I'm going to need to stop the train. Because it can be like, hey, I don't want to go the way you've routed me. Because I have routed it to where the Coast Starlight was, or Coast Daylight, but it's not going to fit there. So I'm going to throw that switch. and we're going to route it into the helix. Get out of the way. So while it's doing that, we can make sure our course daylight's not going too fast. So, hope you liked that little musical moment. That was something that I thought of that'd be fun to do to kind of commemorate completing the pass. But I like this a lot. I will say that, like, watching the trains pass each other, like, that is really a vibe. Love the cinematic music. Thanks, Thunder Turbine. I'm glad that you liked the touch of the dramatic. Okay, now I need to think about where this guy's going into, because I don't want to screw up the order of trains coming out. So he needs to go into there. Meanwhile, let's bring out something new. Once we can. We need to clear up our staging paths, but let's arrange for another meet, because we like our meets. Let's bring out the oil train, and it's going to meet with whatever's coming up next. And we will get to see that little bit of the helix in action, because you can see my boxcar train wrapping around there. So once that's cleared up, we could get the tank train underway. And that's still making its way down there. Keeping an eye on it. So here's what's kind of... Obviously, this is a layout that would lend itself... I'd say it really depends on how you want to run it. If I owned this layout in real life, with DCC, of course, you're probably talking 2 crews at a dispatcher at most. Like, there's not... And it is not something that will sustain a lot of people, but a dispatcher would be useful, because if you're going to really run a tight ship and have trains constantly coming in and out, the dispatcher would not just need to think about, like, oh, I need to route the train into Waylon. But they would need to... Hold on, I need to turn down the music. It's a little loud in my mix. But they also have to keep in mind how things are fitting and staging. They need to prevent what just happened, which is where I rear-ended this reefer block train with the Coast Starlight. Daylight. So, simply to say, this is where you would have more people doing a thing at once. Meanwhile, you can watch my boxcar train go around the helix. We'll stop that so I don't forget about it and it ends up causing trouble. While I'm waiting for that situation to be worked out, let's get our next I forget the directions. Let's get our tank train rolling. And this time will be a little less cinematic. We'll stick with it for the trip down. Just to appreciate the model for what it is and in the context of Tehachapi as it has been modeled. But I would describe this track plan almost as kind of a British track plan. Nick, we're coming up on 4th of July, and more importantly, how could you say it's British? It's Tehachapi, it's American. Well, the thing that I'm always intrigued about with what the Brits do with model railroading is a lot of British model railways are based on a specific location, and the idea is you have one location and you're modeling just that, and you're modeling a bunch of trains coming in and out of that location, rather than the idea of a train going from one place to another. And this layout is very much that same spirit. We're following a train, but only very briefly. I mean, we'll follow this one and see how long it takes us to get end to end if we run it at, let's say 22 miles an hour. We're also going to make sure our switches are thrown, because I am bad at throwing switches. Now they are thrown. So the thing is that it really, for all intents and purposes, this is just one location. And I feel like North American modeling tends to, especially if you have the idea of distance. A lot of modelers who'd have this kind of space would be like, I want to show going from one town to another. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do feel like there is a beauty to be had with, let me make sure I know what I'm doing. Okay, that's the right speed. Headlights on, because I forgot that detail too. I'm going to pause because something's going on in staging. Oh, right, our reefer block train's about to... Oh, God, our reefer block train is on the line. Meaning I had better slow down, because we're going to have a meet, and I don't want to screw that up. And we're going to throw the reefer block on the loop around us. I should probably stop the coasting light before it causes more havoc and destruction. So we've got our switch thrown there, and our switch thrown there, and that one is not going to lead into the siding, thank goodness. So let us take this train, stop it insofar as we're going to uncouple there, so the coast daylight doesn't keep rolling, and this does keep rolling. Yay, cab forward. Gotta have a cab forward. This is SP territory. In the transition era, we gotta have a cab forward. So we're gonna slow roll this because we're waiting for this reefer block to come ahead of us. So the thing is, we're not modeling going from one place to another. We're very much, here's one location. But I think that often gets kind of undervalued in North American modeling because we tend to focus on the idea of going from one place to another. But I think what a layout like this shows is that if you stick to just one location, there's still a lot to be mined there. Even if something as sparsely populated as this, I mean, let alone if you did like a big city junction or something along those lines. Just having a scene like this where you just let the train be the train. And it doesn't have to be broken up and rebuilt. Like, it's just a train going through a scene. But it's a nice train going through a scene. It's a big train going through a scene. So I think that that's something that when you're considering your own layout, you should keep in mind. Like, there's this temptation to like tons of locations and getting from one place to another, but think about what if I just modeled one location, real or fictional. I just did that one spot and just tried to, but set it up so that I've got this staging, however you orchestrate it, so that I can run a bunch of trains through, whether it's because it's a loop or it's reverse loops that allow you to send trains back and forth. You know, you do you. This cab forward is kind of cooking it a little bit faster than I wanted to, but, you know, the right idea. Now we've got another beautiful meet happening, which I should totally get a screenshot of before I forget. That feels very, very vibey. I mean, now we really feel like we're doing the Donner thing. So, oh, this makes me so happy. Look, just looking at this, so happy. And let's say, oh, you know, we want to run our next train, but we can't because there's a train right behind it. Oh no. I'll pause it so we don't miss the cab forward action, but we'll get this, this train of beats also needs to get underway, or is also climbing up the hill. And I'm going to throw the switches so that nothing bad happens to it. But, like this is, oh, the helpers. Yeah, we got to get the helpers. Yeah, there we go. Like this is core Tehachapi right here. Yeah, one location. Push yourself to think about, rather than if I did even 2 different cities. What if I just did one and I could just fleet a bunch of trains through it? Something to consider in your modeling. Did I throw that switch? I did, yes, and it's coming up. And I didn't throw the next switch. We're just going to route it into the loop, but not that loop. We're going to route it into that loop. So it's set, but our train is going to be stuck because we've got this beat train coming out of staging with diesels. So I think we'll probably take that up, bring the Santa Fe back in, and then we'll call it a day. And then we'll park that maintenance away train on that siding there, just so that siding gets a little bit of love. But yeah, oh, look, we got 3 trains going at once. Kind of, sort of going. But like, this is vibes, man. This is feeling. This is railroading. It's just like, it doesn't have to be about the complex switching. It doesn't have to be about tons of things to do. Sometimes just watching a train going on along a track can be satisfying. I think this layout is a testament to that as an ideal with modeling. Okay, while that's climbing up, I need to get this train stopped because I certainly don't want it to loop back on itself and decide to pay that beat train a visit. So we'll get it parked. And what I'm kind of experiencing is like, this feels like a layout that if you built it yourself and you don't have a lot of fellow modelers to run it, you probably could actually run it yourself. I'm making things a little bit more difficult with how many trains I'm going, but you very much could do it incrementally. And operationally too, I should also say that this is the kind of layout that lends itself well to a timetable. Like you have a bunch of scheduled trains, you throw some extras in the mix, and you just set yourself the challenge of, I've got to get all these trains across this railroad. And yeah, there's not a lot of complexity to it, but it's not just about the complexity. It's just about like the sense of I'm watching a railroad unfold. So rather than the idea of following a train through distance, I'm having this diversity of trains mixing through a scene. And it's something that I think about with my own modeling because, as I'm sure I've stated on the show before, my interest is Canadian Pacific transition era with a bit of CN. So my ideal big layout is something involving largely CP with maybe like a junction with CN. And so I'm always thinking about, what am I looking for? What do I, and that's subject to change, and I'm not moving anytime soon, but what am I looking for in my experience of running a train and of, oh, that was thrown the wrong way, so we'll get that fixed. Busy day on the hill here. But what am I looking for in the experience? Am I looking for something that's more like the branch line with a bunch of industries to switch? Am I looking for more like a junction that's just attached? And this is where my mind is moving towards more now, is rather than, say, a branch line where I'm moving from a terminus to the end of the line with cities along the way. I'm thinking more in terms of the idea of a location that I just send a lot of trains through, some kind of junction in particular. So that's the kind of stuff that I think about when I consider what my big layout will look like someday, maybe, hopefully. So this is now set to go. We've got our fruit block set. I'm going to route this one also to the helix, just so I don't have to worry about the MOW train getting out. It is set to go. We now finally could get our 2900 back underway, as we are going to do. And we're going to stick with it for the remainder of its run. Then we'll bring out the MOW and then we'll be done. Oh, wait. Do we get that? We'll kind of get the over and under. I would have had to get that starting a little bit sooner, but we'll probably get the caboose with it, which is still pretty cool. So, get ourselves set up like so. Ready for the shot. Oh, there you go. Like, that's Tehachapi. Well, I feel like tonight we've accomplished something pretty incredible. Like, I was nervous about getting this whole layout done and being able to actually run it and would it work, but I'm really happy with how this has turned out. This feels alive. As much as you can say a high desert feels alive. But the action, like this, to me, what I'm experiencing with this that I'm loving is it's just so nice to have these trains climbing through and all of this activity. And it wouldn't be terribly chaotic. Like, I don't know, who knows if I could ever have a layout even this big, but I think it just makes me realize how much I love seeing multiple trains and like, oh, now we've got this train appearing, now we've got this train appearing, rather than following a specific train, which that's its own vibe. We've done plenty of streams to that. This is yet another adventure that I appreciate you joining along for, and hope that you've learned things through. Where are we going to route this one? We're going to route it the same way we've routed the... Actually, we'll put it in the middle track. It'll be fine there. Meanwhile, our beat train is making it there. I'm going to move this guy ahead so it doesn't crash. And then, last but not least, we're going to get that MOW train out. Once I've cleared this guy, I don't have to have cleared this guy. Well, I'm just going to stop it once it gets into the clear, and then we'll bring out the MOW train. So, do leave feedback. Tell me what you think. Has Nick made a triumphant return, or you're like, yeah, I would have rather see X, Y, and Z. I love hearing from you guys. I love knowing what resonates with you as far as what we do here. Hey, Blue Screw 3124, thanks for tuning in. Hey, Tony, 2 times. Rather than creating replicas of existing setups, could you see using this to engineer alternate ways to approach the same geography? You mean if I was to do that, like, to make a real route? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it would be, and I've seen people take that approach of sort of what if railroads, like what if a railroad had built differently? Because one of the neat things about Trainz as a platform is the ability to, let me just make sure I stop this guy so it doesn't do infinitely bad things. Let me stop both my beat train and my... Oh yeah, so there's what the Helix looks like in action. You can kind of see it doing its thing now. But yes, so Trainz, you can import real-world terrain data, and that absolutely lends itself to what if this railroad actually had the financing to be completed? What if it had been built differently? Totally could use the platform that way. It leads to a lot of creativity in its own right. Hello, Violet. It turned out amazing. Really goes to show the strengths of this type of layout. Yeah, I think that there's such a temptation to make layouts that are about switching and activity. But there's something to be said about just having a simple main line and just like what's a slice of life at this one point on this main line. It's its own kind of experience. I think it kind of illustrates how we each have our own relationships to model railroading in general. Speaking of which, so the last train we're going to bring out the Waylon because this crew is going to do some maintenance of way. What have I been modeling? What have I been up to other than, learning how to be a father? Because I actually have been able to get pockets of time to work on my model railroading. So as I showed earlier, this has been one of my projects, the Strasbourg Railroad Coach. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. The other thing I'm working on, which, we have another kitty cameo, Luca. Luca, baby. Say hi to Luca. Luca is not feeling well. Unfortunately, sadly, it was recently discovered that he has a tumor in his mouth, and so he's still happy, but we're doing what we can for him as long as I've got him. Never easy to reach this stage in a cat's life. So, yes. I'm hesitant to disturb him for the sake of what I want to show you, but I'll just tell you. So in spirit of, we've got this maintenance of way train coming out of staging. We've got, a couple of years ago, I picked up a maintenance of way train kit from a company called Westerfield. So Westerfield makes resin kits. They are super detailed. They are very well detailed. They are not the easiest things to build. I've spent a ton of time on this bunk car already, or tool car. But I'm working on an 8-car CP maintenance of way train that's all bunk cars, kind of like this. So hence why I threw this into the mix, because I very much wanted to... maintenance of way trains are kind of on my mind. And very much undervalued. So I'm working on that car now. It's turning out pretty well. I've run into some issues, but it's also the case of like, hey, it's a maintenance of way car. If it doesn't look perfect, guess what? The real things didn't either. So yeah, it's that's something that I'm really enjoying as a project too, because eventually I'll finish all 8 cars and then I'll get to make my own version of a train kind of like this. And they're nice because you can like tuck them into the places. Like we all have these sidings that, ordinarily you're not going to put a train anywhere, but right now there's a reason to have a train here. And this is where we're going to park and where we're going to call it a night. So yeah, in fact, I'll tell you what, Westerfield's going out of business, or the owner's looking to sell it. So if you want Westerfield kits, get them. The maintenance of weight cars, I don't know if they still sell them or not. I got them secondhand, as a set of 8. Your mileage may vary. But they're going to make me happy. Yeah, well, they are making me happy. I have to admit, there are times when I feel like I just want to buy the car, and I just want to have the car completed, and then there's other times that I'm like, yeah, but I do have a sense of accomplishment by actually building the car myself. Not gonna lie. Okay, sorry, Luca, but Daddy's gonna have to get up soon anyway. I'll show you it, and then we'll call it a night. So here's the car as it is right now. It's, so I finished the sides. I'm really happy, again, painting and decaling. I'm really happy with how that turned out. If I show you the inside, you will see that it has Legos because I am using them as a way of squaring up the sides. And it does have windows as a tool car, but once you put the roof on, you're not really going to be able to see inside the thing. Next step is doing a bunch of underbody detail with it. So that's kind of what I've been up to modeling-wise, doing just small rolling stock projects. So, Squiddy, I've done a few Westerfield kits. Yeah, yes, look, they are hard, but they are detailed. Like if I want, like you could tell from this that if I wanted to put an interior in it, I could. I also, this is practice, if you can believe it or not, because the next step is that I was able to acquire a passenger train set that's like they mostly do freight cars, but they did make a couple of passenger car sets, and I got one, and they're gonna have full interiors, and they are gonna be hard, but I kind of want the challenge. And at the end of the day, model railroading is about getting out of it what you're looking to get out of it. So to conclude tonight's stream, what we got out of tonight is learning that Tehachapi Pass is pretty cool, which maybe not news, is to illustrate that you can just have a place like Tehachapi stand on its own, and that's enough, and that's fun, and that you could do a lot with it operationally. And I want to, again, thank our sponsors for tonight's episode, Broadway Limited Imports. Again, just one last look at these ATSF 2900 locomotives that they are in the process of producing. Those stacks that you see changing in the photos, they're going to include all the stacks with each model, so you could put the stack on that you want, with a lot of different variations coming out, different drivers as you see there. That is going to be a neat model. So whether you're modeling Tehachapi or something completely different, I encourage you to check them out, or pre-orders are due September 17th. So I'd encourage you to get your pre-orders in if that's what you're looking to do. But one last look at Tehachapi as modeled in Trainz by me, Nick Ozrak. Thank you for tuning in. It's been so great to have you on this journey. I hope that you're enjoying this. As I say, live streams coming back somewhat regularly as parenthood allows. But this has been a lot of fun, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Good night.